Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spotlight here on Fightful.com. I'm Jeremy Lambert, joined as always by Stephen Jensen. Jensen, usually I drink water. Sometimes I drink coffee. This week, we all just want to be big rock stars. I don't have an endorsement. If they want to endorse me, that's cool. But Nickelback reference. It's energy drink week. It's WrestleMania week, Stephen Jensen. How are you?
Yeah, I was about to ask if you wanted the sponsorship from Nickelback or from Rockstar or both.
Both. They both got money. Somebody just give me a bunch of money.
But yeah, this is my favorite time of the year to be a wrestling fan as a fan of wrestling. We got the Collective literally on right now. We're both watching it like on our other screens right now, and we got a lot of stuff coming up. Ring of Honor tomorrow night. I'll be doing the post show right here at Fightful. That'll be right after Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor. Once again tomorrow night, youtube.com/Fightful. Got a lot of stuff going on this weekend here at Fightful, obviously, and I mean. There's so much. We're like pretty much like right at the beginning stages of the marathon here with all the companies.
It's literally like this show, the Glory Pro show is the first show of the week. Really, I think there was like School of Morton show last night, but nobody really paid attention to it. No offense, but yeah, Glory Pro is running right now. Like Jensen said, we both kind of got it on. JJ's talking about Josh Alexander in Warhorse. Josh Alexander fucking rules, so no surprise that match was very good. But yeah, we got this. There's Bloodsport like on. I think that'll be starting like while we're on the air. We'll talk about Bloodsport a little bit later. That's part of my indie spotlight actually, because I love Bloodsport. But yeah, man, so much going on this week. I said it right before we got started. I'll say it again. I really enjoy WrestleMania week. There's a lot going on. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot to do. I'll be happy when it's all over. I'll really be happy when it's all over. Sunday night, like I'll just feel like, oh, good. This finally all over. Tonight and tomorrow night are like the biggest nights because there's 5 million indie shows going on.
Yeah, exciting times, but very, very busy times as well. Absolutely.
Guys, leave a super chat, leave a humper chat. Like our guys here, Ricardo, the bad guy, says, happy Thursday, guys. This ought to be fun. Hopefully this is fun. We do have our interview with Ninja Mack airing later on in the program. And what a great guy Ninja Mack was. He's got I think he said 15 matches this weekend that he's doing. So I don't know if he's going to be able to do all of those, but he's planning on wrestling a ton this weekend. So we're really grateful that Ninja Mack took time out of his day on Monday to speak with us and talk about, his weekend that he has. Talk about ROH, talk about his upcoming venture to Pro Wrestling Noah. Just a bunch of fun stuff. Just a great guy, Ninja Mack. And that'll be airing later on, probably about 3:30 or so. And then we have a super chat from JJ's. Oh, my favorite big star and king of the Indie Watchers. This weekend is going to be awesome. Try not to work too hard. Love you all. I'd love to not work too hard. I don't have a choice. I have to work hard. Courtney says, hi, Jeremy. Thanks for the distraction. Thanks. Appreciate it. All right, Jensen, let's get into it. We talk about WrestleMania week and all the indie shows going on. WrestleMania week is headlined by WrestleMania. Say what you will about WWE. None of this is possible without WrestleMania. We don't have all these indie shows if WrestleMania wasn't what it has become. And WrestleMania is going to end with Roman Reigns against Brock Lesnar for I think the 18th time. I'm pretty sure that's how often they've wrestled. It's the third time at WrestleMania, their third time headlining WrestleMania. A little bit of a different feel this time. They're not trying to make Roman the guy. Roman is the guy. Brock is not the all-conquering heel. He's the all-conquering, fun-loving babyface. Jason, I asked you to watch their promos on Monday. What do you think of these promos and the go-home aspect for Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns? And as a WWE hater, are you interested in? I know he's going to grab the title belts to prove that he doesn't hate WWE. As a WWE hater, are you interested in Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns for the third time at WrestleMania?
So I'll say that I did watch the promos, and it's strange hearing Brock as a babyface still. Like, it is something I'm still getting used to. I thought it was interesting how he played with the what chance, and so did Roman Reigns. And I also thought it was interesting that Roman Reigns basically said he'd beat up Steve Austin, just like he's going to beat up Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. So maybe we will be getting more of Steve Austin going forward. I don't know. because there's been obviously he's going to be at WrestleMania, so they're talking about him a lot. But regardless, I'm excited for the match because I think it will be a good match. Even though we have seen it at WrestleMania. I was there live at their one in, was it New Orleans, where they main evented? Yeah, that was like a big letdown for the fans. Like, we all kind of hated on that match and everything. So, but it is one of those things where it's an interesting dynamic with Brock being the face this time, Roman being the heel, and like that being the plan going in. Because like every other time the crowd is like turned the other guy. You know what I mean? Like they've been going opposite on who they're booing and cheering versus what the WWE wanted. So I'm interested in the new dynamic in this. I do think the match will be really good. It's interesting that Heyman has sided with Roman. And I think he will stick with Roman. I don't think it's like some elaborate plan where he's going to turn on Roman or something like that. Or, in like a line with Brock. Again, I just don't see that happening. So yeah, I mean, the whole WWE hater thing, listen, we say it a lot in wrestling, social media and stuff. Fed dead, right? A lot of people say that. Fed dead. if he shows up, Fed alive. So I gotta start getting excited about some of this stuff, Jeremy. And I think Roman and Brock is actually gonna be a really good match. And I thought their promos were fine. I liked Roman's promo better personally. And I like him as a heel a lot. So yeah, I'm excited for the match. What about you?
I thought Roman's promo was excellent because he gave a lot more motivation to the match that I think it is kind of lacked a little bit. Like, I understand they've been feuding since Brock came back at SummerSlam and everything, but Roman, this is since WrestleMania 31 when they first wrestled, when Seth Rollins pulled off the heist of the century. Like, this has been going on for a while now. And Roman just talking about how this is like very personal for him and how like, you made me bleed that night and then New Orleans and everything. And like, I'm out for revenge on this shit. Like, I thought Roman's promo was excellent. He has been on a different level with this character. And I'm looking forward to it, honestly. Like, it's a different dynamic to it. I've loved Brock's character. I've loved Roman's character. I don't know. I assume Roman's going to win. And I know Roman, people are worried about him being stale and like, all right, who's finally going to dethrone him? Are they just going to have Brock dethrone him? And it's like, oh, they're just going to go to Brock. Like, that has crossed my mind before. I really thought that was going to happen at like day one or something. But I do think that Roman is going to win. I think it'll be a good match. I think there'll be a lot of drama to it. The fact that it's at the end of a 4-hour show and not a 8-hour show should make it a lot better. I think that really hurt the New Orleans match. And like that crowd was, or that show was like such a come down after everything. I mean, you were there, Joseph was there. Like, Joseph talked about like how it just like killed his passion for wrestling. Like, it seemed like it was setting up to be an all-time show, and then like AJ and Nakamura was so underwhelming. The Bryan stuff was so underwhelming. Like, there was just a lot of underwhelming stuff heading into Brock and Roman, to where it just like killed so much. But I think it'll be a good match. And I've enjoyed the build to it. They got one more SmackDown. I imagine they'll play it kind of safe. Maybe they'll do a tug of war over both belts. I love that segment many years ago. But like, I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
Yeah. The whole dynamic you brought up too of Roman, his like title run. And I think there's a lot of fans that are on like two sides of this, where everyone agrees that Roman's like, he's the guy now in the WWE, like, for sure. And like, he's earned it. I mean, him as a heel, I think, is like, he should be their top guy as a heel for sure, in my opinion. But it's like, you have the opportunity here because they alluded to it on Raw, like that he's only behind a handful of people like ever for title runs. Like, I mean, there's like San Martino and Hogan, and I'm missing a couple others, but there's only like maybe 3 or 4 guys ahead of him right now, like all-time title runs, like days with the title in a row. So I like that idea if they kept running with that, because I'd like to see him like get even higher on that list. But then there's other train of thought of like, well, they really have Roman hold the belt and stay undefeated until next year's WrestleMania in like if they can do him and The Rock, because that keeps getting brought up year after year at this point. Like, at some point, the WWE might want to break that title reign up so it isn't so long, so they have like something. I mean, because we got to get to a whole nother year then at that point. But I'm personally in the camp of like, I want to see him beat Brock. I'm going to predict for him to beat Brock, and I want to see him just keep running with the title. Like, he hasn't lost since 2019, they said, and like, I mean, just keep that going. You kind of have a rare opportunity with this, in my opinion.
People have talked about the Rock showing up. I mean, Paul Heyman has been asked about it and stuff, and Heyman has said, like, I don't think it's a good idea because then, you know, why you're giving away all these matches for the next year. Like, I don't know if that's the best idea in the world. Like, you're giving away the result in these matches for the next year. I think you can have The Rock show up and it doesn't give away anything because people might think that Roman and Rock is for the title. I don't think it needs to be for the title. That's the thing, is like, if you have Rock show up and then Roman loses the belt to somebody at SummerSlam, like, you could still do Roman and Rock and it'd be okay. That to me isn't a match about the title. That to me is just a match about Roman Reigns against The Rock. Like, you don't need any type of championship for that. So I don't think The Rock is going to show up. It's possible. I mean, it would certainly be a hell of a way to close Mania. I don't think it's going to happen. But I wouldn't be mad, and I don't think it does fully give away a year of stuff. Of course, knowing WWE, they probably just will keep the title on Roman for the entire year, and it will be Roman and Rock. But at some point, you got to make somebody and get this title. And he's going to have 2 titles after this. If he wins and he doesn't just divorce the titles the next night on Raw, he's going to have 2 titles. And I hope they don't do what they did with Becky, where they did 2 titles and then they immediately took the one off of her. And then technically she hasn't lost the other title. Because, like, when Roman loses, it should be a big deal. It should not just be like, fluke win, lost this title, who cares, still have this title. It should be a big deal when this guy eventually loses.
Yeah, well, and that's part of this too is, you know, I think if he does wrestle The Rock next year at WrestleMania, I think he needs to win that also. So, like, you're still kind of in the same position where Roman's an even bigger star now, and like, I think way more like just people would watch that WrestleMania because The Rock would be involved, and like a lot of casual viewers would. I mean, it'd be a really big WrestleMania and a really big moment for Roman to beat The Rock. But then you're still in the same spot where like you do need to use this to create some other people that are at least somewhere near Roman's level, like outside of part-time people like Ronda Rousey and Brock Lesnar and John Cena and like those type of people. Like, when you have access to them, Roman's the only guy you have full-time access to that's like on his level. So you got to get some people close to that. And I mean, we can sit here all day and like speculate on who those people might be, but right now, like, they got a lot of work to do with like whoever it eventually is who's going to beat Roman, you know, outside of Brock. But then it's still like, then it's just Brock winning, which doesn't really help anybody. You know what I mean? Like, so they're in this tough spot where I feel like Roman has to keep winning, but they got to pick out like 3 dudes and be like, listen, we're doing everything we can to get you as close to Roman's level as we can. And like, whoever impresses us the most is our next kind of rival for him. And they got to do something to like, they got to start the process of building somebody to beat Roman eventually. That isn't The Rock or Brock Lesnar.
Oh, I put Hannah's comment on the screen because I just assumed Stardust is the person that she would, there you go, that she would like to see dethrone Roman Reigns. Jensen, you've got the American Nightmare shirt on. I mean, like, you there's worse choices than Cody. I don't know if it's going to be Cody. I do suspect we will see him on Saturday. I think the Seth Rollins match is on Saturday. I do suspect we will see Cody Rhodes. I hope that, I think Dangor tweeted it, I hope that it's Shane McMahon, just to fucking pop me, just to see the internet blow up if it is Shane McMahon. I imagine we'll be seeing Cody on Saturday. And then, you know, we might see Cody go after Roman. Is it on Sunday? Is Seth on Sunday?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So at least that's what it said on Wikipedia when I looked before.
Wikipedia doesnncia know shit.
Wikipedia is usually really accurate on fight cards and like match orders and stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, so this might out a Fightful here. Like, we have it listed for Saturday, so I might have to yell at somebody for their wrong list.
No, it is. I do have Seth on Saturday. That's what I was saying.
Yeah. So Hannah's saying Sunday. What are you talking about, Hannah?
Yeah, Hannah. Come on, Hannah. I saw the hello, Mr. Jensen message as well. So hello, Hannah. Good to see you.
Oh, get your facts straight, Hannah. Use Wikipedia to fact check yourself. How about that?
Well, hey, I'll say this. Everything I just said about WWE needing to create new stars. I mean, I guess they could also just go get a proven star who can just come in and win the title from Roman, like Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, that's what AEW does. They just take all the WWE stars, and they don't have to create any new stars. They just take everyone WWE's released. That's what everyone says, right?
Dude, I marked out when Seth Rollins tweeted a GIF or GIF, whatever you want to call it, of Marco's stunt today. I thought that was great.
That rolled. Seth has been tremendous. Like the trolling on Twitter. Yeah. I don't know if he's trolling with his AEW comments. The lowbrow.
I think a little bit. He knows what he's doing.
I think it's a little bit as well. I do think it is a little bit as well, but I also think there might be a little bit of truth to it. But he's tremendous, man. He's great. Hannah says, "I'm gonna pull a Mela Becky from SummerSlam." Everyone is like, "Man, it's Shane." Then it's Stardust, and Stardust squashes stuff. I was told Sunday by Jonathan Sapp. The fuck does he know? Sean Ross Sapp doesn't know anything. What news has he ever broken?
He's my official prediction to win the clusterfuck on Joey Janela's spring break.
I hope someone smacks the shit out of him. Honestly.
I hope he works against the Invisible Man. That'd be a fun one to watch.
That's what I said. I want him to take a destroyer from the Invisible Man.
That'd be sick.
Great. What does Sean Ross Sapp know? All right, I'm looking at WWE.com and see where this Seth Rollins match is. They might not even have it listed. The Seth Rollins match. Oh, here we go. It's WrestleMania Saturday. So unless it gets moved, it is on Saturday. And Sean Ross Sapp is a liar, all right? An absolute liar. Sean Ross Sapp doesn't know anything. I broke the story that Seth Rollins is wrestling on Saturday. Please give me credit for that scoop over Sean Ross Sapp. And I'm going to kick the shit out of Sean Ross Sapp in the clusterfuck as well. Be like these NXT dorks who don't know how to work. They don't know how to protect their opponents.
Ooh. All right.
That's what Randy Orton just said. Randy Orton said they're NXT. He's like, I've been in the ring with these NXT guys. It's not necessarily taught to protect their opponents. Like they don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's a Randy Orton comments.
He's talking about like the current NXT guys or like the indie guys that like came through NXT.
I feel like it's more of an indie comment because he's talking about these guys who are working stiff and it's like they're just trying to punch me and break my jaw. He's saying how Edge is like, oh, it's good. It was good to work with Edge because I can trust him with my body and stuff. He's burying these NXT dorks. Bless Randy Orton.
That's funny. Absolutely. Yeah,
bless him.
To be fair, that probably is what he's talking about because I don't know why he would have really been wrestling like the current people in NXT for any reason. So
these
recently,
knee slappers and these guys who just want to stiff each other and everything. Randy's been doing this for decades, and there's a reason. They need to do all this Canadian destroyer leg slapping strong style bullshit. Just grab a hold, everybody.
Yeah, just go learn forward rolls and headlocks and how to set up the ring. That's how you become a big wrestler. Like that's the things you need. And that's what you get taught at the Performance Center. Forward rolls are important, Jeremy. Like Kevin Owens had to do forward rolls. Finn Balor had to do forward rolls. Sami Zayn had to do forward rolls. You know what I mean? Like Neville, Pac had to do forward rolls. I mean,
yeah. And Kingston was doing forward rolls, and he was like, fuck this. Now they want me to be a referee.
Yeah, right. Serena Deeb had to do forward rolls, and they made her a coach. And then, like, all these years later, what do you know? She's, like, the best wrestler in the world. Crazy.
So Roman and Brock on WrestleMania Sunday. Seth Rollins on WrestleMania Saturday. Seth Rollins and Marco Stunt on WrestleMania Saturday.
I love it. I love that.
They should do some type of trolling gimmick if it's not immediately Cody. I think it will be immediately Cody. It'd be so much better if they decided to troll to start it off with.
Yeah. I think that's very possible. Very possible. Now, Seth, all the people Seth has been posting GIFs of, I feel like it's going to be none of them. Like, because I felt like it was possible it was going to be the Shane thing, but like Shane was one of those that he tweeted about. So like,
I'm waiting for him to do the Cody Rhodes, like the ear cup gif. Like I'm waiting for that one.
Yeah.
He should do it. He should throw the Cody gif in there just to, because you're right. He's doing all of these, and it's like, well, it's probably not going to be any of these guys. So just throw the Cody one in there. It's like, wait, we think it's Cody. So now, does he know? Like, is he spoiling it? Is it somebody else? So I would throw the Cody one in there. Do the Cody ear gif. Bailey would be great. Bailey just come out and fucking kick Seth in the head. Be awesome.
Yeah.
They just laugh. They just laugh the whole time. Like, gotcha.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Awesome.
What's her thing now? Like ding dong or something like that?
Yeah. It's awesome. Bailey can't wait till she's back. That's what it should be, honestly. Like, Seth is in there, and then Bailey's music hits. Her music doesn't even have to hit. It's just over the loudspeaker, like, ding dong, hello. And then Bailey comes out, and Seth and Bailey are just cackling. Just having a grand old time out there. And then here comes old Nightmare Cody Rhodes. That's what we should do.
Hey, speaking of ding dong, Dave and Buster's. Okay. Y'all are out here getting in the wrestling business a little bit. I see you're doing the special events now. I actually saw that at my advertising at my local Dave and Buster's yesterday. I saw the signage for the WWE pay-per-view special events, premium events, whatever they're called. So yeah, just throwing this out there. Dave and Buster's. You got a big cheerleader over here talking about you already. Just saying. Anyways, thought that was pretty cool that they're involved.
Dave and Buster's should. My computer just decided to play this Johnny Swinger cameo. Dave and Buster's should 100% sponsor us. You're there all the time. You're invested in Dave and Buster's NFTs, which is insane.
I'm an investor. Yeah. I mean, I'll show it right here if anyone needs any proof. I'm literally legend status on the Dave & Buster's app.
What is this?
You see that L?
Yeah.
Oh, you're
holding
prizes.
an L for investing in NFTs, Stephen Jensen. That's what you're doing.
This is not NFTs. This is legend status because of how much I have gone to Dave & Buster's. But I'm not going to show you my NFTs because I still don't know 100% exactly how they work. And if I show them on the screen, someone might try to take them from me. Take that.
They can't be stolen. They're NFTs. They're your intellectual property. Yeah. No one else can have them. This is what I've been told anyway.
But yeah,
this
I got
is
like
how
50,
they work, right?
Something like that. I got like 50 of their NFTs though. I got a lot of them. Anyways, hey, I might become rich in the future in an alternate universe, so we'll see.
In the future, in an alternate universe, Stephen Jensen.
Dude, Metaverse Steven is going to be, anyways, yeah, that's completely off. But it actually is kind of on topic because, like, Fightful even ran an article about Dave & Buster's running the shows.
Yeah, we got a press release. I'm going to run any type of press release article. Speaking of Cody Rhodes, he's going to hit the pedigree on Seth Rollins. It's a smooth transition here. He's going to hit the pedigree on Seth Rollins, who formerly used the pedigree himself. And the person who made the pedigree famous, so I've been told, Triple H. Triple H had to announce his retirement. Well, Ricardo says, "Adrenaline in my soul, Seth can't beat Cody Rhodes."
Agree.
But Triple H announced his retirement last Friday, citing his health issues. He had to undergo a heart procedure last September, and he said it was a viral pneumonia. Seemed like he was very close to losing his life. And now he has a defibrillator in his chest, so we're not going to see Triple H in the ring again. Jensen, this was your spotlight. What would you like to share about the game, the cerebral assassin, the king of kings, Triple H?
Well, just wanted to talk about him a little bit today because he is somebody who at various points of his career was like somewhat controversial figure, depending on how, you viewed him and his push and, people he was beating at certain times of their careers and that kind of stuff. But I wanted to say, like, he honestly, like, he deserves nothing but like the utmost respect from wrestling fans. Like, he tried everything he could, even in like the recent years, to make, NXT something special and hire a lot of the wrestlers that fans like myself wanted to see, have that kind of platform. And I think if it was up to him, I think the overall WWE product would be more enjoyable for someone like me. And I think that he has a great mind for wrestling, and he's somebody that I just wanted to just make it known, if maybe even if you're a newer fan or just if you have been around a while, like, you'll remember a lot of this stuff. But all the eras this guy was involved in, like, he's such a massive legend in wrestling. Like, he really is. Like, the Terror Rising days to the Hunter Hearst Helmsley days to, DX, and then him getting like the the big push into the main event scene. I think his matches with Mick Foley were some of like my favorite matches I've ever seen in my life. His matches with Shawn Michaels when Shawn Michaels returned, I thought those were incredible. I love their Royal Rumble match when it went to a draw. I just thought it was like an incredible match. And then the evolution and NXT and everything he's accomplished, it's just wild. Like when you really look back to see in the Click, and just all this stuff that he was so important in the world of wrestling, and he's going to continue to be. And it's just a bummer, that he's not more involved right now, because I really liked what I thought his vision of the future of the WWE looked like, and I hope he gets to implement that in some way, shape, or form going forward. And then there was the flip side, like I said, the era where he was, Evolution and he was beating Booker T at WrestleMania and Rob Van Dam. We all got frustrated with the guy, but we also got to take into consideration he was one of the only people that was like still there from the peak Attitude Era times that they had, like that they could count on and rely on, that they knew was going to be there. So like, I understand why they went with him and he got so heavily pushed, but it was a little frustrating as a fan at the time. But that all said, just wanted to give a shout out to Triple H, a guy who I think is one of the best overall professional wrestlers of all time.
I'm glad Triple H is healthy, seems to be doing well. I don't know what he's going to walk back into with NXT, but whenever he can return to work, it seems like he's returned to work in some capacity with the scouting and everything. But yeah, I'm glad he's healthy and made it through everything, because it sounded like it was horrible. It was awful. And it seemed like he even said it, like he was right there to potentially losing his life. So I'm glad he pulled through with that. As far as his wrestling career goes, I have my gripes with a chunk of it. There was a lot of stuff that I did not enjoy. His Ric Flair cosplay and holding down talent at various points. Not a fan of that. He had some good matches. He had certainly some memorable feuds. The Foley stuff is honestly stuff of legend. Like that is the street fight at Rumble and then Hell in a Cell and No Way Out. Like those are legendary matches right there. Like the Rock feud was very good as well, and that spanned a couple different years, when it was just an Intercontinental title feud at SummerSlam '98, and then when it was a world title feud a few years later. So he had some legendary moments. He had some very good matches, but I can't say that I was the biggest Triple H fan in the world, and I'm honestly not going to sort of pretend otherwise that I was a huge fan just because he is retired. I do thank him for the moments he did give me that I did enjoy. And again, above anything that has to do with wrestling in the ring, behind the scenes, anything like that, I'm glad he's pulled through and he's doing well health-wise on that, because that is way more important than my gripes with him wrestling-wise or wrestling persona-wise or anything like that. But yeah, I'm glad he's doing well and he's healthy. I'm not going to act like I cared that much about Triple H's wrestling career, or that I had spent the majority of my sort of my takes, my time as a takes artist, forming my opinion that I was a big Triple H fan, or that I really enjoyed a lot of his work. Manny mentions co-founding DX. Yes, like great moments. Evolution was, that gave us a version of Randy Orton. That gave us Batista. Like, that was great. I'm not going to take anything away from what he did and kind of a foundation he laid in certain aspects when it comes to wrestling. That should certainly be admired and respected. Watching him on screen, I didn't enjoy a lot of his work.
I think that's totally fair. Like I wasn't like the hugest Triple H fan in the ring always. But like I said, it was more about like, just wanted to put the respect out there for like what the guy has accomplished, which is like really, really incredible. Like the longevity, especially, like he was around a long time, and the injuries, dude. If nothing else, I think people need to go back and watch his tag team match with Austin against Benoit and Jericho. And when he got that quad injury, the fact that man finished that match, like, makes no scientific sense whatsoever. Like no medical sense whatsoever. Like you shouldn't even be able to stand on a leg like that. No less finish a match and get put in, a walls of Jericho and stuff after you've torn your quad. Like, I mean, but I trust me, there were plenty of times, like especially in the early 2000s, that I was like really frustrated with Triple H. but he won me back big time with NXT. I got to give him that credit.
He did. And I do think, and I've said this before, is Triple H will get a bad rap when it comes to NXT for like trying to hoard talent. And I mean, that was certainly factual when it came to NXT and, you know, wanted to do NXT UK and the reports of NXT Japan and Mexico and all this stuff. Like, he will get a bad rap for that stuff, but he did provide a sort of a like lower level AEW where it's like, hey, here's all your favorite indie stars at this place, and they're making good money and they're on television every week, or at that time WWE Network, and then it became television and everything. Like, he will get a bad rap because of what eventually happened for all of that stuff, but he handed WWE plenty of stars that they just didn't do anything with, and that's not his fault. It's not his fault that Shinsuke Nakamura came to the roster and they didn't really do anything with him. Same with Finn Balor. Finn Balor got hurt. That's unfortunate. But Keith Lee, like, they handed him plenty of guys, and it just, Vince's vision and Triple H's vision were two different things. But Triple H certainly, he gave these guys a bigger platform that we all loved and enjoyed on the indies, and he tried to do what he could with NXT. There were some misfires in there as far as what NXT was able to accomplish, but it should have been bigger than it was. It wasn't because of the disconnect between Triple H and Vince. I don't blame Triple H for WWE, the main roster, mishandling a lot of these talents.
Yeah, I completely agree with all of that. And I also think it's also just interesting when you think about some of the things Triple H was doing with NXT, like we were just saying. And on top of that, let's not forget, like, he brought in Jushin Thunder Liger to wrestle Tyler Breeze. Like, New Japan contracted Jushin Liger. Like, this is years before the Forbidden Door, like, you know, with AEW and all this stuff. Like, I think that if Triple H was actually, like, at this point kind of in charge of everything, like Raw, SmackDown, like kind of he was kind of like the current day Vince, really making the big moves for the company, I think they would be involved with a bunch of other companies, and like they would have a ton of buzz, and it would be, the WWE would look completely different. And I think I would love the product. So I just want to put that out there too. Like, Triple H looked very open to the idea of working with other companies and stuff like that also, which is something that we praise a lot for AEW and you know, Impact and New Japan and all those kind of companies working together. So just want to throw that out there too.
I think when it comes to that, is Triple H wanted to take over a lot of these companies. And that's where people, and that's myself included in this, were like, oh, this didn't really help this scene. Like, you know, Progress is a good example. Like, I don't know how much the Progress relationship, you know, benefited. Evolve is another one. I think it could have had certain things just been handled better, and they utilized the WWE Network a little bit better. But then, especially once AEW started, it became more of a pissing petty contest, and Triple H lost that.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with all that.
Jake says, finally able to catch the gang live. What's up, Jake? Hope you're doing well, buddy. Hope you enjoy the WrestleMania weekend. There's apparently a coincidental Cody Rhodes thing. Oh, it's just the WWE is releasing some Dusty Rhodes merchandise today. And so people are, of course, reading into that of like, oh, seems kind of cool. You know, why are they doing this Dusty release drop on WrestleMania week? What's going on here? So it's the big topic of discussion going on.
Yeah, the timing of that might be a little suspect, but I mean, they released a Dusty Rhodes.
The Dusty Rhodes Classic just wrapped up, did it not?
Well, right. Yeah, guys. Good call. For sure. And I'm about to say, like, I bought one of his action figures within the last few months. Like, it hasn't been out for very long. It's a WWE figure. So, like, I mean, and that might mean nothing. Or they also might be trolling and playing into this too. Like, you know, they're like, well, hey, they'll talk about Cody. We're talking about Cody, but not mentioning Cody. Like, we're, you know, we might as well throw this out there too and get everyone talking even more. So,
yeah. Let's move on to AEW. The AEW spotlights this week. Toni Storm joined AEW last night. She was the big mystery signing, defeating the Bunny to officially qualify for the Own Heart Women's Tournament. Toni Storm, she basically just walked out on WWE at the end of December last year. She was in a title program with Charlotte Flair. They were throwing pies in each other's faces. And then Toni just decided, I'm out. I'm done, Gus. And she left. She did her 90 days, and now she's in AEW. What do you make of Toni Storm in AEW, Jensen?
I love it. Like, you got a big pop, really big pop. Yeah. I'd like to hear that. Yeah, I mean, especially if, like, that's the stuff she was doing in the WWE, throwing pies at people and stuff. Because here's the thing, I remember there was also reports probably around the same time about Charlotte Flair, you know, walking out and stuff too, and causing problems backstage or whatever, because she was fed up with having to feud with dolls. So I can totally understand Toni Storm being like, okay, I see the direction all this is going in. I want nothing to do with this. Like, I'm out of here. It'd be nice if they did the same thing for Ali, who's like publicly begging for a release, like, you know, but I think that Toni Storm is going to be a great fit in the AEW women's division. I think she's going to have really good matches against that entire roster, and she could very well be, you know, I could see her being, I don't know if they want to put her right in the world title mix, or if they want to have her more in the TNT title mix with Jade, because I think her and Jade would have a really good match, because I think Toni could help her in a lot of ways. Like, I think it would be really good, like the dynamic between those two. But I think like her and Thunder Rosa would be fantastic, you know, so like, you know, and the other thing that I kind of ties into the spotlight is Athena, because everyone's talking about her right now as well, like not being signed currently. And I agree with that too. Like, they should absolutely bring her in. Like, she's fantastic. So I think that, you know, these are the kind of moves I think AEW needs to make for the women's division. So I'm totally happy with Toni Storm showing up there last night.
I have no issues with Toni Storm, them signing her. It's a great signing. I think Toni probably miscast in WWE. The stuff she was doing in WWE probably just not playing to her strengths, I would say. And now in AEW, she'll probably be able to play to her strengths a little bit more. Here's my concern with these new signings, and it's kind of the same thing when they do this with the men. The difference between the men and the women is they just dedicate a lot more television time to the men. It's like, all right, Toni Storm is here. She'll get a spotlight for a little while, I would imagine. And then how do you keep her sort of in rotation and in ready and you know, regularly featured on this stuff? You know, Arn Anderson just commented on this not too recently, of like, you need just weeks and weeks of television time to really establish a guy, get him over, get him to that point where fans care. And if you're just kind of, oh, you're here for 2 weeks and then off, and then you're back for a week and then off, it doesn't help. You know, Ruby Soho came in very hot in September. After the Britt feud, she was pretty much gone. And then she was part of the TBS tournament, but then after that, she hasn't done a whole lot. You know, like Ruby, when was the last time Ruby wrestled on Dynamite? I'm going to look this up, but I feel like it's been forever. And now, like, if you're going to bring in Toni Storm, that's great. Just like it is with the women, or just like it is with the men, it's going to push people down the card. And now you've got to find television time for everybody else. Ruby's last Dynamite match was against Nyla beginning of February, and she lost. And she hasn't been on television since then. And before that, she was on Rampage in January. So she's had just kind of 3 matches on Dynamite and Rampage this year. And Ruby came in very hot. That was a big get for AEW. And she's had 3 between Dynamite and Rampage, 3 matches on TV this year. And I worry that Toni Storm is gonna, if they bring in Ember, which Ember and Jade are kind of battling out a little bit on Twitter. If they bring in her, then that's going to be another issue where, okay, Toni, she's the hot thing right now. How long does she stay at this level?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. And those, I think, are legitimate concerns. But I don't know. But the way that I look at it when it comes to the AEW women's division specifically is like, if you have a chance of getting women that are good workers that have a fan base built in, like, you get them. Like,
100%.
You know, now the other thing is kind of going to come down to like matter of opinion, I think, when it comes to someone like Ruby Soho, for instance, because if it's me personally, like, I still have Britt Baker beat her. I still have, you know, Thunder Rosa as the champion. Like, I still think they have the right people in place for what they've done. And I just don't think Ruby figured into that, you know, right now. But at the same time, it's the not being on TV for like 2 months straight kind of stuff when you're like, you're hot on TV and then you're not seen for a long time. That I do have. I understand the concern with that. Because you would want her more active and on television. Like, I have no problem with that at all. Like, she should be on TV more. And you hope that doesn't happen to Toni. Like, when that's totally understandable as well. But I think that it's just one of those things where, like, they're all going to have their chance to kind of, like, prove themselves isn't the right word, because, like, a lot of them are coming in proven already. Like, Toni Storm has had a very good career already heading into this. But, like, you also don't want to get in like a habit of having, you know, ex-WWE wrestler come in and beat, you know, AEW homegrown wrestler. And now, like, there's that dynamic also of, like, they did all this work in this one company, someone else is coming over, and, like, I don't know. There's just a lot that factors into it, I think, when it comes to them signing people from the WWE. Some of them, it's just going to be undeniable. Like, you get a Bryan Danielson or a CM Punk, like, they're going to get massive pushes because they are massive, massive stars. Like, even outside of wrestling, people know them, you know, like, so it's that's kind of thing. Like, for instance, like if AEW got like a Charlotte Flair or like a Sasha Banks, you better believe that they would be like, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. We'd be like, Sasha Banks, it's gonna be her and Thunder Rosa, like, probably right away, and like do it. But I think Toni Storm they just got to kind of work themselves in, and then, you know, just they got to figure it out from there. They also don't get a lot of TV time in comparison to the men, and I understand that as well. I understand that's a concern with a lot of the fan base too. We also just have to keep in mind when we have that conversation, like, if you only have so much TV time, what would you remove to put what in its place? Because I think AEW put on a hell of a show on Wednesday as it was, but they could factor in the women more often, and that would give them more spots. So I understand completely, you know, kind of where there's a lot of different, because, you know what I mean? Like, the women's division, I think, is the most polarizing thing about the AEW fan base. Is a lot of people love the show as is, and a lot of people are complaining that there aren't enough women on it, you know, but they still like the show, but they want more women involved. So it's like, it's kind of balancing all of that stuff somehow for a company that's brand new, by the way, still.
And it is a give and take, and I completely understand that. And you're right that, hey, if you want more women on the show, what are you removing from the show? I do think there is some weeks there's stuff to remove. Like, I don't need a Varsity Blondes match.
Sure, that's fair.
There. Yeah. I mean, even like if you look at the Rampage lineup, I don't know if I need to see this House of Black match, this 6-man tag. One, I feel like it's just too predictable. Like, just let them do a vignette and whatever, and like actually give women some television time on that. I know they have the OWN tournament, and the OWN tournament now is going to take up a lot of TV time for the women. And then once the men's qualifying matches starts, that's going to take up a lot of time for that. They got to keep between the OWN tournament, Jade always is going to have her thing as long as she's undefeated. And I mean, the title is going to be the title. The TBS title is going to be the title. You would think that they will have something for that, whether it's Jade or whoever the new champion will be when she gets the throne. And then the women's title will have time as well. So between those three things, they're doing a pretty good job, like, getting the women on television. I would still like to see a little bit more. And yeah, okay, if you're going to do that, what are you going to take away? I think last night it'd be tough to sort of take away anything. I don't know if I needed a Jon Moxley Jay Lethal match last night, honestly. Like, it was a good match, don't get me wrong, but like, I saw Danielson and Yuta later on, and that sort of did all you needed to do with the Blackpool Combat Club. I didn't need Jon Moxley just beating Jay Lethal. Maybe we could have given the women like time there instead of doing that match. And look, I understand Jon Moxley's a bigger star than any woman on the roster, so they want to get a Jon Moxley match on there. But it's just something where I didn't need Jon Moxley and Jay Lethal. I don't really need Jay Lethal on my television, period. So I probably would have just gone with something else there instead of that match. And maybe I would have done a women's match. Same thing in Rampage. I don't know if I need a House of Black 6-man tag, but you do have to. There is the give and take, and I understand that. Hey, people want a Jon Moxley match over, I don't know, a Ty Conti match or an Anna Jay match. Like, I get that. you gotta find a balance. And somebody mentioned the QT comments is, and look, I don't fully agree with like how he phrased it or anything like that, but I get his point of we've got 100 men on the roster, we've got 50 women on the roster. We just got to dedicate more time to the men because we just have more men on the roster. I get that point. I don't think you phrase it very well. That doesn't mean they can't, hire more women or anything like that. But I understand what he's trying to say is like, there's just more men on the roster. So we have more time to put men on the roster.
Yeah. I think we're both making like all valid points about this. Like, and I think like, that's the thing, like the QT comment though. It's like, it's hard to say how I am trying to respond to that. Like, it's one of those things where like, if there is, what do you say, 50 women compared to like 100 and something men.
I use nice round numbers. I'm not going to try to be like there's 133 men
right.
and there's.
Well, it doesn't really matter. I guess like 150 men to 50 women or whatever. Like that, if that's true, that's still AEW like deciding that that's like the ratio that they're going with. Like, you know what I mean? That's like it's all tied together at the end of the day. Like it isn't one of those things where it's like, well, we've only got 50 women, so we're gonna just put them on TV less. It's like, well, no, you've decided to put them on TV less, so you only have 50 women. It's kind of the other way around. You know what I mean? That said, I think you brought up very, very good points that I think everybody really needs to take to heart and really remember, especially right now. We got a lot of women's wrestling coming up on AEW, and those tournaments, I think they're going to really mean something. Like they're going to be prestigious tournaments that people are going to get heavily invested in. So whoever wins these things, or they're going to be, I think it's going to put a big spotlight on the women's division. And so I think some of the concerns that people have, I think are going to be kind of alleviated through over the next like couple months when they do these tournaments and stuff.
And I hope so. And I do agree with that because we're going to have, technically you had sort of 3 women segments last night. You had Thunder's promo, you had the own qualifying match, and you had Cargill's segment. You even had the Marina Shafir video package as well. So they're kind of focusing on 3 different things between the world title, the TBS title, and the tournament, which is great. I think people just want to see more women's matches and not just like, hey, here's a couple promo segments and a match. And I completely understand that argument. Some people have said, you can just kind of cut time for stuff, cut 2 minutes off. Hale says, cut 2 minutes off the Jericho Appreciation Society beatdown, minute from Danielson, Moxley in the main event, the championship celebration, and give it to one more women's match. You can certainly do something like that. They've done the Serena Deeb challenge and then another match before. And Serena's matches are usually pretty short because it's a 5-minute challenge and she's beating up some enhancement talent. So you can get women on television in a variety of ways. They do plenty of men's matches where it's like, we kind of know the winner. We'll let them have a competitive match. But I mean, I think last night every match outside of the main event, it's like, all right, it's pretty obvious who's winning this match, but here we go. Here's a competitive match. You can have the women go out there and just have a competitive 5-6 minute match and establish maybe a new women's character or a new path for one of the women. One, you got to pick who you want to put that investment in. And then 2, you actually have to do it. And I'll go back to Ruby as an example of she was on fire coming in. It's like, it's the big get for AEW. And now it doesn't, she doesn't have a destination. Her destination really is unknown because we haven't seen her on television. Hopefully they'll improve with that. I do think they have made good strides. I'm not going to say it is perfect by any means. And if they're bringing in more talent, great. But bringing in more talent doesn't mean they're going to use all of this talent. And that is where they have to kind of walk that fine line. Like, if you're going to bring in this talent, great. Make sure you use them. Make sure you establish them. And it's not just, all right, cool, we got the pop for 2 months, and now we brought in this other new talent, and so this talent goes to the back burner. Or we just forget about the talent we originally had.
Well, and let's also be fair. A lot of this is a complete double-edged sword where no one's going to be happy, because the other side of the coin here is all the people that complain about so-and-so not getting signed. You know what I mean? Like everyone, hey, why aren't they signing this person? Why aren't they signing that? Then they sign them and they're like, well, now it's too cluttered and now it's not going to make any, now you got to do it. It's like, you just can't win. You know what I mean? Like if Toni Storm wouldn't have got signed to AEW, people would be complaining that she wasn't signed to AEW.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, there is certainly where people are going to complain regardless. I sympathize with AEW and any wrestling company in that regard of like, okay, well, you're mad that they didn't sign and then you're mad that they did sign, but they're not being used properly. Like I get it. It's tough. It's tough to balance. Some people you're not going to make happy regardless. And there's nothing you can do about those people. You want to make happy the people who are invested and who do want to support your product. And, that's what they still have a little bit of work to do when it comes to the women's division. But I do want to acknowledge that they've certainly made a bunch of big steps over the past year and a half compared to where it is now, compared to where it was year and a half ago. Big difference. And I hope they continue to take these steps. And I hope they just continue to do things the right way with this stuff. And I could complain about this with the men too, to be honest with you, is I know Top Flight are wrestling the Young Bucks on Friday. I've not read the spoilers. My guess is the Young Bucks win this match because they're setting up for this FTR match and they're just not going to lose the Top Flight. Dante Martin looked like he was just going to be like one of their guys. And then he was on television, and this is a name Arn Anderson mentioned. He was on television, had these great matches, got the victory over Hobbs. Then he lost to Hobbs, and then he's just been off television. Darius returns, which is great. Got the big pop in the Battle Royal. They were one of the last teams there, which is great. And then they've sort of been off television since then. Now they're going to wrestle the Bucks. Should be a great match. Probably going to lose that match. What happens to Top Flight after that is people are sort of invested in Dante Martin after his singles run here. You can't just completely remove him off of television. This was my whole thing with Scorpio and my whole thing with the rankings is like, I understand Scorpio undefeated for a year or whatever. He had 0 singles victories on Rampage and Dynamite. He picked up like a handicap win and some tag wins. They lost the match at Full Gear, the Minneapolis street fight or whatever it was. Like they lost that match. But those were his victories. He didn't have any singles wins. It's like, I don't care that he hasn't been beaten in a year or whatever. If he's just been beating people on Dark, give me a reason to care about these guys on your 2 main shows that most people are watching. And I get it. You're beating low-level people on Dark. That's great. Like, it's a nice little tool to, like, pad records and whatnot. I would imagine that most fans are just happy that Scorpio won, just like I was happy that Scorpio won. But again, give the people who are not just going to be like, oh, cool, Scorpio won. Give the people who want to invest in this stuff a better reason to invest than, hey, you won a bunch of matches that you probably never watched on Dark and Dark Elevation.
Yeah, I think that's all totally fair. That's a whole other conversation in itself. But I
apologize for going away from Toni Storm. But to me, they work hand in hand. There's problems on both sides with the men and the women. I don't want Toni Storm to come in, get the pop for 2 months, and then all right, here's somebody new to replace her. We're just gonna forget about Toni Storm.
Yeah, I totally get that, and I do agree with you, by the way, about what you're saying about like when you're beating a bunch of lower talent on B and C shows, it really shouldn't count as much as like winning on Dynamite against like a top tier, more established opponent. Like I completely agree with that. That's just kind of another. We'll talk for the next hour about that if we want to go deep into that topic. But I agree with you on that as well. So,
Kate, going back to Triple H, said tried to bury Punk plus. So he's the worst. Love you both. Thanks, Kate. He did. See, that's why I can't fully get behind Triple H on some of this stuff. My AEW spotlight this week, Wardlow. Wardlow's the guy. MJF booted him from the roster last week. This week, Wardlow just showed up, kicked the shit out of some security guards, powerbombed that dude on the table, and the table did not break. That looked like it sucked. That really looked like it sucked.
It's like a concrete like block or something. Like nothing didn't budge at all.
It did. Yeah, it didn't give at all. I was like, oh man. Oh, that looked horrible. The only thing that looked worse than that was Jeff Hardy killing Mark Quinn with that swanton. But rough night for a couple people. Wardlow, massive reaction when he came out, got taken away by security, didn't get his hands on MJF or anything. But man, the way they're going to do this Wardlow storyline, the way I assume they're going to do this Wardlow storyline anyway, this guy, like he truly is the guy for them. And I like the way they're setting it up. I like that, you know, he didn't touch MJF last night. I didn't think he would when he was coming through the crowd and everything. But the main thing I like is that they're still keeping him on television through this. It would have been very easy for them to just be like, all right, Wardlow's off. He's off for the week. Like, he's still going to show up on television. I would imagine they're still going to find a way to get this guy on TV throughout this. I do think it'll be okay if he lays out for a week and it's just, hey, Wardlow's not here. MJF can reference him in a promo or whatever. But I like that they're still keeping him right there visible for you, and you're not just going to forget about this guy.
Yeah, and he's just out there just kicking everyone's ass except for MJF. You know, like he's just beating up everybody, but he can't get to MJF. And I think they're going to build that for a minute on AEW TV. Like, it'll be weeks, if not months. I mean, probably months of like him really. I mean, up until the end of May, probably. He probably won't get his hands on him. So, yeah, I love MJF's promos about. I mean, they're so just like, he's such a good heel. Like, you know, I get, you know, sometimes it's a little, you know, it's a little too much. I get it, but like, I respect what he's doing out there. So like, I think that this is only going to get like more, because when we found out Wardlow was like turning, like, when we knew for sure, okay, now it's happening, it could have gone one of two ways. Either the interest was going to dip heading into their match eventually, or it was going to just the anticipation is going to keep rising. And I think the way that they've planted the seeds so far with this is like the anticipation is just going to build and build and build. And Wardlow's going to beat up all the security guards and anyone that MJF throws at him. And he'll get so close to getting physical on MJF multiple times, but just won't get there. And then when he finally gets his hands on him, people are going to be going nuts for it.
How are you booking this, Jensen? Are you playing this out until Double or Nothing, and then they have the big match at Double or Nothing? And if so, like, how do you get there? Because that's still just under 2 months away. There's a lot of TV time between now and then. They're obviously not going to keep Wardlow off TV that entire time. So how do you eventually get to this match with MJF?
That I'm not sure about, nor do I really want to like spend a whole lot of time fantasy booking, because I think it'll just be good. I trust that Tony Khan and the people that are putting this together are going to make it's going to be something I'm going to like, because that's the track record speaks for itself for, you know, AEW in my opinion. But, you know, once again, as long as it's something where to answer your initial question, yeah, I think they do wait until Double or Nothing to do the match. He might get his hands on him, maybe like the last Dynamite heading into the show or something, maybe something like that, just like a tease of something. But I'm cool with them just having, they got to figure a way of making it where like I want to see Wardlow out there competing, but he has this thing where he's not an AEW wrestler and he's, you know, contracted to MJF. So they have to work around that somehow. And like, I mean, at the end of the day, Wardlow's going to get an AEW contract. He's going to wrestle MJF. He's probably going to beat MJF, and they're going to try to push him as like a main event level star, like a homegrown main event level star for them. So like, I shouldn't even put this in quotes. Like, he's like legitimately homegrown. His indie run wasn't very long. So it's, you know, but how would you, like, do you have something in mind, like how you would want to see this all play out?
I have something in mind of what I don't want to see. And okay. I think that they'll probably use elements of this anyway. I feel like with MJF, the foundation is there of let's just throw tasks in front of people. You know, we had like the labors of Jericho. Even with CM Punk, it was, hey, you're going to have to beat Spears. You're going to have to wrestle FTR in some type of match. You're going to have to beat Wardlow. Like, I don't need that with Wardlow. I do think he should kill Shawn Spears at some point. Like, that's just a thing that has to happen. JJ mentions that. Yeah, as well. Like, that's got to happen. But I don't need like MJF just throwing tasks at Wardlow and it's like, oh, okay, you've completed all your tasks. Now you can finally face me. Like, that's what we've seen. That's the blueprint for MJF feuds. At least his two big recent ones. So I don't want to see that. I do think we're going to get elements of that, though, because it does align sort of where they're going with this or what they've done with this, with MJF booting him off the roster and everything. He's got to kill Spears. There's the FTR stuff. I don't think he'll face FTR. I think FTR are more or less baby faces at this point, and I don't think FTR is going to see like an issue with Wardlow because they're already kind of turning and doubting MJF right now. So I think if MJF tries to be like, hey, you're going to face FTR, FTR is going to be like, fuck that. Like, we don't have any issue with this guy. He's your problem. So you deal with that. But I do think there will just be kind of task laid in front of Wardlow to earn a match, to earn a contract, whatever it might be. I would like to see Mystery Tony Khan jump in and be like, all right, you know what? Like, we're going to get Wardlow his AEW contract here, not the MJF contract. We're going to get him an AEW contract. And then however he gets that again. Maybe it's just Tony Khan be like, hey, we've signed Wardlow to a thing. But I do think we'll probably get elements of here's a task to get to the MJF match. It's going to be a long stretch because, again, it's just under 2 months away. So they got a lot of time to fill with it. MJF's great at that with the promos and telling the story and everything. You can keep Wardlow off of TV with this storyline and still keep him relevant with MJF just doing promos and everything. But I do think we'll just kind of get a task list for MJF. And I hope they vary it up enough to where it's not just a repeat of sort of, there were definitely more layers to, especially the CM Punk feud than just, hey, we're going to throw this guy in your way. But there was that element of that, right? And then the Jericho thing, it was literally, you got to do all this shit to earn a match with me.
Yeah. Now, personally, I like that stuff a lot, which I think you did as well. Like the tasks of Jericho.
Oh yeah, and don't get me wrong. Like these were great stories and everything. I thought it was great. I just want them to vary it up a little bit.
Right. No, and I get what you're saying, and I think that what makes this different is a lot of the stuff that you just brought up as well. Like the you have the underlying stories of like FTR and the Pinnacle disbanding, kind of like right in front of MJF's eyes. Like he's the only one who still thinks the Pinnacle's a thing. Like it's clear that that's how this is all being presented. Is like he's the only one that's like still holding on to this at all. Now, does that mean he forms a new group? Does that mean that Wardlow and FTR are gonna they're gonna stay together and maybe Bret Hart's gonna come in as their manager and they'll have this whole new stable or something? Or there's a lot of directions they can go with this. So I think they might incorporate some sort of task. Like you said, I think at some point before MJF and Wardlow, we will see Wardlow destroy Shawn Spears. Like it'll be probably just a match where he just Shawn doesn't get anything in. He just destroys the dude. So, but I don't know. I think we're all on the same page though, where it's kind of like, as long as they don't screw up Wardlow somehow between now and the pay-per-view, that's really all we want at the end of the day. Is like the fans already want Wardlow to get his hands on MJF. We just have to kill a couple months before they actually wrestle each other. So just as long as it's even somewhat decent in between now and then, and the match I think will definitely deliver. Wardlow has shown that he's got a lot of potential, and MJF I consider to be one of the best wrestlers in the world right now. So I think that the match is going to be great. So yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we've been waiting like 3 years for this. Think about when Wardlow, remember when he started in AEW and they were running those vignettes? It was like him being like a vigilante or something, like just beating up like criminals in the street or whatever it was. Like, I mean, we've come a long way since that, right? So it's like
we need more of that elements. I need Wardlow going into MJF's house and just breaking all of his shit and everything. Just getting on his couch and putting his feet up on his couch and everything.
Maybe that'd be cool.
Up his couch. That's what we need.
Yeah, they can do what he did to all those security guards, just like in like a cinematic style, like him just beating up a bunch of unnamed henchmen, a bunch of Putty Patrol type guys from like the Power Rangers, like a bunch of was the Ninja Turtles, Foot Clan, a bunch of those kind of guys.
Yeah. See, because Wardlow, I mean, theoretically, he should know MJF better than anyone. Right? Like he's spent all of this time with him as his bodyguard, as his right-hand man. Like he should be able to play some sort of mind games with him. And MJF is just thinking, here's this big dumb goof who's going to just I protected you. I'm the reason you have everything type of deal. So there's certainly an element or a story to tell here that isn't just, hey, you need to beat this guy to earn a match with me type thing. And that's why I don't want that, because I do think there's a lot more at play than something like that. I think you can actually tell a more compelling and layered story than something like that because of the history and the underlying stuff that we saw on television and we can kind of piece together ourselves, or what we didn't see on television and you can just sort of make believe and put together as part of the story because of the history they have together.
Yeah, I agree. It's that would be interesting if they deep dove a little bit more on the stuff we didn't see. I like that idea a lot. Like Wardlow, like referencing situations that they had that like weren't televised, where like he had to do stuff for MJF and be like, remember when you made me do this, like, and that, and like I'm destroying you for all these things the fans don't even know about you. Like
exactly.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Film vignettes on this stuff if you need to. Air them as some type of exclusive. I don't know, but like just do something like that. But there's more of what you could do than just beat this guy, get a match with me. I think I'm very interested to see where it goes. I think it could be. I mean, MJF is already coming off arguably the best AEW story in history with CM Punk. I think he has another chance to tell another top end story with Wardlow here.
So, that's coming off of that that thing with Darby too. I mean, like he's hitting big time in all of his feuds. Like, so
he's great. I've said it before. Some of the stuff I don't totally like what he says because I think he's better than a lot of the low hanging fruit stuff. But he does that stuff well, and then when he actually does swing above that, he does that stuff really well. MJF is great. That's why he's going to make a boatload of money in 2024.
Oh, yeah.
Move on to the other spotlight. Jensen, yours is Tomohiro Ishii against Jonah. You're just really excited for this match.
I marked out when I saw this was happening. I was watching Impact, as I always do before I record the Weekender, getting caught up on stuff. And I had avoided this. I shouldn't say that. I've read the spoilers on the Weekender weeks ago, but like it didn't include video packages that aired during the show. So like I'm watching Impact and I see a video package for Tomohiro Ishii, and I'm like, wait a second here, what's going on here? And then I realized it's him and Jonah, and like Jonah does a little promo also, and I was like this rules. Like people need to be talking about this. Jonah's match with PCO at that last Impact Plus show,
fucking ruled,
dude. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. Like this Jonah dude, I didn't get to see him a whole lot in NXT, and what I had seen of him, like it seemed fairly generic. Like he seemed agile for a guy his size, but it was like nothing overly impressive. But I really
was NXT,
right? For sure, exactly. But I always thought the top rope splash he did looked that monsoon or whatever he calls it, that tsunami. Sorry, the tsunami. That's impressive when you see him go off the top with all that size and weight and just crush people. Like, and the ring kind of shakes. Like I liked what I've seen of Jonah since leaving the WWE. I've liked it a lot. And Ishii is one of my favorite wrestlers in the history of New Japan. Like I love watching him do his thing, and they're gonna beat the hell out of each other. And it's a match where like I kind of assume Jonah's gonna win because like I think he's figured into like the plans for Impact like big time. But there's a lot of doubt still too, because like Ishii's a bad dude. Like that's a tough out for anybody, and he's gonna go strong style as hell on him. Like it's gonna be. So I just want to put that out there. I don't see anyone online really talking about this match, but like that's coming up at Impact Rebellion. So, shout out to Ishii and Jonah. I think that's going to be an awesome match, dude.
Because nobody talks about Impact outside of JJ. See, JJ says Impact is great. Talent coming in all over is good. I mean, Ishii's wrestling Eddie Edwards at Multiverse tomorrow night. Like, I think that's going to be a hell of a match. Ishii is just honestly one of the most underrated performers out there because nobody has them. Like nobody really has him in like your top 5 or your top 10, but you can't tell me you just don't want to sit down and watch like an Ishii match if it's on. Like that dude, he's in my wheelhouse of wrestlers of where he doesn't do these overly long matches. He wrestles a style that I like, which is just kick the shit out of the other guy type of thing. And the way he just built, looks, his presence, it's just great. Like, that's just a dude where if there's an Ishii match on, I'm not going to be like, oh, okay, it's an Ishii. Like, I'm going to be locked in. I'm going to be tuned in to whatever he's doing. You're right about Jonah. It's like, I didn't mind his NXT run. I watched pretty much all of it as Bronson Reed. The match with Swerve was great. Matches with Gargano were very good. The match with Cole was very good as well. Like, he's a good wrestler. Now, he said it himself when he got released by WWE. He's like, chains are kind of off. We can kind of do more of the stuff that he is highlight more of his strengths, not wrestle the WWE style. We all know what the WWE style is. And when you're out of that, you don't have to do that anymore. The match of PCO was fantastic. Jonah's got a couple matches during WrestleMania weekend as well. I think he's on Bloodsport. He's got some matches during WrestleMania weekend that I'm sure are going to be great as well. Then too, they're just going to go in there. They're going to beat the shit out of each other. Jonah is athletic. Ishii is probably more athletic than given credit for, even though he's a little bit older. But they're going to have a really good match. And Multiverse, JJ's talking about Multiverse in the chat. Multiverse is legit one of my favorite cards on the weekend. Like, they got some really good matches on there. I mean, I mentioned it. Like, Ishii's taking on Eddie Edwards. Deanna is going to be on that show because she's not on Supercard. We have the Ultimate X match. I think Speedball is wrestling Shelly. Jay White's wrestling Sabin. I think both of those matches are on there. Like, Multiverse is a nice little card here. I think it's going to be a good show. It's just on a very crowded Friday night. There's a lot going on tomorrow night, but Multiverse is a really good show.
Yeah. It's flying under the radar because of all the other stuff going on, but it is. And Jonah is wrestling. He's the one fighting Josh Barnett at Bloodsport.
There you go.
So,
I figured he was on the show, but that's the biggest match. I don't know if it's quite the biggest match because Moxley's taking on Biff on that show, which rules.
Suzuki and Dickinson.
Yeah, Bloodsport. We're going to talk about Bloodsport here in a second.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that was your spotlight. I was about to like just throw some stuff out there. That's right. We are going to talk about Bloodsport, but yeah, we're like the other thing I love about Ishii. I just want to throw out there real quick is I have never seen a wrestler with a more basic moveset be as entertaining as ever. Like, because like it's mainly just like punches, kicks, elbows, like brain busters, suplex type stuff. I mean, he's really not doing any. He just looks super believable when he does it, and he's so good at selling. That's underrated too. Like, his selling is like top tier. So like it's one of those things where like if you just saw like his moveset on like WWE 2K or something, you'd be like, looks kind of basic. But when you see him do these moves, it looks like it's a real fight happening in front of you. So like, but yeah, him and Jonah, that's the match I'm looking forward to the most at Rebellion, I think, if I'm being honest. So, which
is fair. I'm sure we'll talk more about Rebellion in the coming weeks as it draws closer, since we're an Impact show all of a sudden. We've been really since we've started. Just popping JJ with the Impact talk. My other spotlight is going to go to New Japan. I don't really we've talked a lot about New Japan on this show because there hasn't been too much to talk about since we started. But the New Japan Cup just wrapped up. Zack Sabre Jr. won it. Second New Japan Cup. He'll face Okada at the next tour. He beat Naito in the finals. And what I have to say about this is I think Zack Sabre Jr. should beat Okada. I think this is the Gaijin you go with. And I understand he's British and isn't coming over from America, but like I think this is the guy you go with as like your ace and not Will Ospreay. I'd much rather the company be carried from non-Japanese wrestler by Zack Sabre Jr. than somebody like Will Ospreay. And I take nothing away from Will Ospreay, at least as a wrestler. I think he's great. I think people still hold on to, hey, he's just kind of like a spot monkey type of guy. He's way better than that. But Zack Sabre Jr., again, another guy that just wrestles the style of wrestling that I like. A guy that he's gotten the opportunities in New Japan. He's had some great matches. They've given some tag title runs and whatnot. I think this is a guy who could be one of their guys. I don't think they're going to do it, but I would go full bore with Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah, I'm definitely not against that at all. He's been ready for a long time to be a top guy really everywhere. I mean, he was in the UK and like he would have been not in the WWE, but like within the cruiserweight, like if he would have signed, then like 205 Live would have looked a bit different, I think. But either way, he probably would have suffered the same fate as like anyone else who was in that tournament ultimately in that company, unfortunately. But that's beside the point. When he beat Will Ospreay in this tournament, I think that was a big kind of like aha moment for it. Was like, oh, he beat Ospreay, okay, and then he beat Shingo. It's like, oh, okay, like this is real now. And I could see him beating Okada. It's so hard to ever pick against Okada because of he's Okada in New Japan that's like picking against Roman Reigns right now, almost in the WWE. Very different reasons, but it's hard to pick against Okada ever in New Japan. But if they're going to pull the trigger on anybody new, I think Zack Sabre Jr. is as good a choice as anybody. I love his ring style. I love how different he is. Even his body type and stuff. Like, he doesn't look like a typical wrestler. He's different, and I like what he does a lot. So, if you made a prediction right now, do you think Zack Sabre Jr. does beat Okada for the title?
I don't think he'll beat Okada because they love Okada. They always just fall back on Okada. And look, it's a great fallback plan. It's Kazuchika Okada. But I think they have a chance to really make Zack here. And I kind of thought they were going to do it a few years ago when he won the New Japan Cup, and they didn't. And now I think they should do it this year because, yes, Okada, he's great, but you can always go to Okada. Try to make somebody here. They tried it with Ospreay, and maybe it would have worked if Ospreay didn't get hurt, and then they took the title off of him. They tried it with Evil. That completely failed. Ibushi was the same thing, but I think they took the title away from him a little too quickly. And then Shingo, I thought Shingo worked out for the most part with him. But him beating Ospreay, Shingo, Naito, he's beating outside of Okada. He beat their top three guys, at least the perception of their top three guys. Go ahead and go full bore and just fully make him. And if you're not going to fully make him, which I understand if they don't want to do it, don't just put him back in a tag team with Taichi. And I've actually come around a lot on Taichi, and I like the tag team with him and Zack Sabre Jr., but he should not fall back into that tag team where their division is just not very good. And it's just the same three teams fighting. Just don't put him back in this tag team after you've had him beat some of your top stars and then challenge for your main title. I think he deserves better than that after this tournament.
I totally agree. And to be honest, I wouldn't. I strongly prefer him as a singles guy to teaming with Taichi, just personally. And you mentioned it too. I didn't even mention it when I talked about Ospreay and Shingo, but yeah, you're right. The finals was him beating Naito, which is that's just another that's just huge. Wait, right? That was it, right? It was him and Naito. Yeah. I was making sure I was getting the order of all those right. I know it was those guys, but I was trying to remember what order it happened in. But yeah, so and Naito's another one of those guys. I don't know if he ever even. I hate to say it, but I don't know if he really. He's kind of up there with the Okadas, Tanahashis, guys, but just a little bit below for me for some reason. His title runs never his chase to the title was always super interesting. Yeah, but then when he got the title, it wasn't. Okada can win the title and then carry the title, and it's just a different type of thing for whatever reason for me. Him and Tanahashi are kind of both at that same level for me. But Okada's kind of the more current day. What's that?
I would say Tanahashi's the GOAT. He's old at this point, but
exactly.
They should always put the title on Tanahashi.
Yeah. And he's the kind of guy, like you said, he's literally he's such a made man there that he could lose all year and then just randomly win the title and no one would even question it. Just Tanahashi. But yeah, it's good for Zack Sabre Jr. I would be completely fine with him beating Okada for the heavyweight title. I'd have no problem with that at all.
Do it, you coward, Gato. Put the title on Zack Sabre Jr. All right, Gato, make a good choice since you've been making bad choices ever since that evil title victory. Indie Spotlight, Stephen Jensen, we mentioned it a little bit earlier. I've talked about it on and off, but Bloodsport is going to start in 40 minutes right now. It'll honestly be starting as we're wrapping up this show. My favorite event during WrestleMania week. There's a lot of cool indie events and stuff, But like when Bloodsport, and Matt Riddle did the first one, but Matt Riddle's Bloodsport was the first one, and it was just so different from what you would usually see. And the fact that they gave Matt Riddle his own little show here, and he decided, hey, let's do like kind of an MMA wrestling hybrid type thing. And then once he signed with WWE, Josh Barnett took it over. It's become like kind of the must-watch event for me. And again, my favorite one, you get a lot of different people in it. We speak to Ninja Mack, who's in it. And if you've seen Ninja Mack highlights and stuff, you would not think, wait, Ninja Mack is doing Bloodsport? John Morrison, I believe, is doing Bloodsport. You're not going to look at John Morrison and be like, wait a second, he's doing this. So then of course they get Jon Moxley for these shows as well. And Moxley always pops me because this is extremely his shit. He's just like, yeah, let's go out there and do like MMA style stuff and just punch each other in the face, kick each other in the face, like trade hold type of thing. And Moxley, is just like, I don't give a fuck like what I'm doing on these shows. I'm gonna do this show, like no matter what. I'm pretty sure he only left WWE just so. I think he said as much. And I don't know if he's joking or not, but he's like, yeah, I left because I just wanted to do shit like Bloodsport. But I love this event, and I can't wait for the show here in like 40 minutes.
Yeah, same here. I'll be watching it over on the True Heel Heat platforms. If y'all want to watch it with me, we're going to be on there. Hopefully Jeremy can join if he's got a little free time, but I know he's a very busy guy right now. Yeah, I'll be watching that right after the show wraps up. I'm going to jump on there. And yeah, like you were saying, I love this because it's such a different type of show, like with the whole UWFI style rules and like there are companies like Paradigm Pro that do that stuff year round. And I always look forward to it because it really can highlight for Paradigm Pro, for instance, it really highlights guys like Dominic Garrini, but then it also shows a different side of someone like Calvin Tankman. Like it's really cool to watch the different style of fighting, wrestling, work, shoot, whatever you want to call this stuff. I think the lineup they put together for this show is great. Like this should be awesome. Like I can't look at one match on this card where I'm like, I expect it not to be good. And even like Ninja Mack and Yo-Yo, like you said, but I think Ninja Mack will bring something different to the table too. Like, I think he'll incorporate something we hadn't seen before in Bloodsport.
Right.
Like, so yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I look forward to this every year. And as a fan of mixed martial arts, like I really like seeing these kind of things when they're done the right way in the right environment and stuff like that. Like this is much different than seeing Brock Lesnar and Cain Velasquez in Saudi Arabia, like doing a work shoot style fight. Like this has a totally different vibe about it. It feels like you're watching almost like an underground fight club type thing, but not like Raw Underground. Raw Underground was basically trying to do what Bloodsport did, it felt like, except
very
like
horribly. Yeah,
just really, really cheesy with way too many camera cuts and don't even get me started on Raw Underground.
well. The thing with Bloodsport is when it was first done by Riddle, obviously former UFC fighter. Barnett took it over, former UFC fighter. These guys and Pride fighter and like just veteran legend in MMA. Like these guys are not just going to be in there and be like, hey, let's just do something like Raw Underground where it looks very fake and corny and choreographed and cheesy. Like they're not going to essentially spit on like the sport that they grew up at. I mean, Riddle doesn't even like UFC. By the time he was doing Bloodsport, like he was always burying Dana and talking about like his time in the UFC and hated. I don't think Barnett like even cares for like Dana and UFC, but they respect MMA and they come from that background. And so they don't want to just make it this cheesy thing that pro wrestlers are just going to like shit all over. Like they have respect and integrity for the sport of MMA. And that's why they're trying to keep it as close to that style as possible. Obviously there is pro wrestling mixed in, but they're just not going to shit all over MMA and wrestling by doing it. So like these are the two guys, and I imagine Barnett's going to do it for as long as he wants. I don't think he's going to WWE anytime soon. But like I would imagine that it's going to continue down this path as long as Barnett has it. Because I've listened to plenty of Josh Barnett interviews where he talks about like, hey, there's a selection process to this. We're not just going to let anybody kind of do it. And I think the fact that people might be skeptical of like a Ninja Mack or John Morrison, the fact that they're part of this should let you know that like they're going to honor the traditional Bloodsport like style. Maybe they add a new twist to it. And if they do, it's not going to just be like, oh, well, that looked really dumb and fake. This has no place on what I've come to love from Bloodsport.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like, and Barnett taking it over for Riddle, like, it's so perfect for not only their MMA background and like their love for wrestling and everything. I mean, like Josh Barnett, trained by Carl Gotch and like learned catch wrestling before he became an MMA fighter. And like this basically what Bloodsport is for the most part is, at least the way that I perceive it, it's basically a showcase of like just catch wrestling with like MMA elements to it, but that kind of is what catch wrestling is. Like, so it's just a really cool, like pure style of like what would almost like a simulated competition, like a true competition. You're not going to see, I mean, there won't even be ropes, you're not going to see people running the ropes back and forth. You're not going to be seeing
people power bombed into brick walls and shit. We've seen that on Bloodsport before.
Yes. Like they're coming out to fight, and it's a different vibe. It's a different feeling. It's very, I almost called it raw. It's not raw in the sense of what you'd watch on Monday nights, but it's a very raw product in the sense of the actual.
It's not something to be raw. Yeah,
yes,
it's raw in terms of the product.
And then like the card, I mean, just some of the stuff we were talking about, like Minoru Suzuki and Chris Dickinson, Jon Moxley, Biff Busick, Marshall Slamovich, Janai Kai, Ninja Mack, Alex Coughlin, Slade, Josh Barnett, Jonah, Simon Grimm, who y'all might remember as Simon Gotch from the Vaudevillains, Verge John Hennigan, John Morrison, JR Kratos versus Timothy Thatcher, Zeta Zhang versus Marina Shafir, Speedball versus Yamura, and Bad Dude Tito versus Royce Isaac. So, like, I mean, these are all matches that all make sense in this setting also. The only one that stands out really is like the Ninja Mack Yo-Yo match, but Yo-Yo has been on this platform before, and he's done these types of matches. Ninja Mack's going to be the real question mark, but like based on our conversation that we had with him, I think he's going to be fully prepared for this. So
yeah, and you'll learn more about Ninja Mack, and that he's not just, if you've only seen like highlights and GIFs and stuff, he's not just this flippy guy. Like he has an actual like background in a Bloodsport style. What's the word I'm looking for? In the Bloodsport in a
some martial arts. Like he has like real martial arts.
Yeah. And an art, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. But yeah, you'll learn that about him in our interview. So yeah, I think he will fit in when it comes to Bloodsport. I can't wait. Moxley and Biff might be like one of the best matches all weekend. Honestly, it really might be. But Moxley's involved in another big match this weekend. Well, also tonight, actually. Bloodshot Moxley just does Jay Lethal on national television. I'm pretty sure it's tonight. Spring Break Part 1's tonight.
I thought it was tomorrow night after Ring of Honor, isn't it? Wait, no, is it tonight? That's
Part 2. Yeah, Part 2.
I'm getting all my days screwed up because of the damn scheduling. So that's tonight at like.
Tonight's show starts at 9. Tonight's show starts at 9.
And then it's like 1 in the morning or whatever.
Yeah.
Next, and that screws me up too, because like technically that's Saturday, but it's like Friday going into Saturday. That's why I get all screwed up with this stuff.
The spring break stuff, because they always run into like midnight, and so it's like, wait a second, is this Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Like, yeah, it does get kind of messed up. But yeah, Moxley and AJ Gray is tonight at 9. So as I was saying, Moxley just wrestles on national television last night. Going to do Bloodsport here in a half hour, and then he's going to go face AJ Gray a few hours after that. So the man's a lunatic, bless him. But Jon Moxley, AJ Gray, this is your indie spotlight for the week, Stephen Jensen.
Yes, I just got so much more pumped up because I always had this mindset all day that was tomorrow, because today, I had this, I got the watch along for Bloodsport, I got the Twitch tonight, I've got me and Jesse are doing a thing tomorrow, I got Ring of Honor tomorrow, there's so much going on right now. But yeah, Jon Moxley and AJ Gray, man, I am pumped up for this. Going into this, little background, we had, AJ Gray won the brass ring at Hammerstein, and he got to choose his championship opponent, like for any of the titles, and he got to choose his name and place, basically a Money in the Bank type scenario. He called this shot ahead of time, and he chose Jon Moxley at Spring Break. AJ Gray is also the GCW Extreme Champion, and he has not lost since winning that title within GCW. Now, something that's worth keeping in mind, he has lost a few of his independent titles recently in like various promotions like West Coast Pro and Southern Underground Pro. So I think this is all lining up for AJ Gray winning the GCW championship and beating Jon Moxley. And I think he's the right guy to do it for a lot of reasons. Like, he's a former GCW champion, but that title run lasted minutes. Like, he beat Nick Gage for the title, then RSP beat him for the title literally right after. And people have wanted to see him be the champion for years now. And he's totally like earned it within GCW, and he's super over. I think he has the best entrance in wrestling with Waka Flocka Flame. Oh, let's do it. Like you should have seen me in Atlanta. I was having a good time. So, but that all said, like in Moxley, we've talked about this on the show before. The last few champions, Nick Gage and Jon Moxley, they haven't been on every GCW show as regular. And we talked about it last week, and you brought up the point. I think it's a very, very good point to bring up. It would be AJ Gray as a champion that will be at probably every GCW show as champion. So I think it's AJ Gray's time. Rich Homie Juice, Black Death, the mother effing truth, whatever you want to call him. I think tonight's his night, and he wins the GCW title.
It certainly feels that way. It certainly feels like AJ Gray is going to win tonight. There is a part of me that just believes that they might have Moxley win tonight and set up something for tomorrow night. I know tomorrow night is supposed to mainly be the cluster, but I do think there's a couple other matches for part two. And there's part of me that just believes that Moxley's going to win tonight, and maybe it is Nick Gage. Nick Gage comes out at the end and confronts him, and you do Moxley and Gage too. Maybe it's Janela comes out because Janela's facing Waltman tonight. Maybe Janela beats Waltman, and Janela comes out and he's like, I am GCW. Like, I'm back here now, done with AEW. Like, you sold out, you're at AEW, whatever it might be. And then you do Janela and Moxley tomorrow night. So that is in the back of my mind that might happen. I don't know how much Moxley, like, he's able to do Bloodsport. He's able to do Janela show tonight. Is he going to be able to do a third show? Probably. He's Jon Moxley. I don't think Tony Khan's saying that much about this shit. But maybe Tony Khan is like, no, you're only limited to 2. That's it. And we don't want you running on a show where ROH is running a show. Who knows how Tony Khan is thinking about it. Even though they're not even running at the same time. Pretty sure ROH will be over by the time that spring break starts. Regardless, there is that part of me that believes that Moxley wins tonight, confronts, gets something set up for night 2. If I had to pick, I would say AJ Gray wins tonight, wins the title, and GCW moves on to a new era where the champion is where the champion is present for every single show. But don't be surprised if Moxley wins and they set something up, whether it be night 2 or whether they build to something and Moxley comes back for shows in the future. Because I'm pretty sure Moxley still enjoys doing GCW and everything. So as long as he's allowed to do it, he's probably going to keep doing it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, it just makes the most sense, I think, for AJ. Because if not AJ, then who? I think Atticus Kogar was someone that was kind of getting lined up, but he's not even in the company now, apparently. And another person that'd be really interesting would be Wheeler Yuta against Jon Moxley, because you have the overlapping story with AEW and him trying to get in the Combat Club, and if Yuta wrestled Moxley in GCW, that'd be pretty nuts. I don't think Yuta would beat him necessarily, but there's a lot of people that can make for interesting matches for Moxley, still in GCW for sure. But at the end of the day, I gotta go AJ Gray to win the title, and I think SGC is going to have a pretty big night. I don't know if I don't think Manson and Matthew Justice are going to win the titles. I don't think in the triple threat tag title match, but I think Allie Catch could very well beat Mickie James. That'd be huge for her. Yeah, especially after losing a Ruby at Hammerstein. Yeah.
You can't set this precedent of Allie Catch is our top female star, but everybody that comes in from a bigger company just beats it. You just can't do that. You did that with Ruby, and I get it. And Lauderdale is try to defend it of we're not booking. And he says the same thing with Spring Break. Is Spring Break, Hammerstein, we're booking for a broader audience than just our GCW audience. Okay, I get that, but you can't just set this precedent of these big shows. your GCW people, especially somebody like Alley Catch, who's your top female star, just loses these matches. So I do think Alley Catch should beat Mickie James.
Yeah, I completely agree. And yeah, that'd just be huge for me for Alley Catch. Like, and who's Effie wrestling? Does he not have a singles match on the show?
He's facing Suzuki at one of these shows. That might be a Big Gay Brunch, but he's facing Suzuki on one of these shows.
Big Gay Brunch, he's wrestling Escalarta, I think. But who is Effie wrestling at Spring Break?
No, Dickinson's wrestling. He's in the match with Cardona. Dickinson's wrestling Cardona. Okay.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm looking up the Spring Break night 2 because Effie isn't on night 1. Let me find night 2 real quick.
And I don't recall. He's wrestling Suzuki at some point this weekend, though. I legitimately think it is Spring Break, honestly.
It must be, and it would have to be. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you're right. It is Effie and Suzuki on night 2. Okay, cool. Good deal. Yeah, that's going to be sick. And that, man, if Effie beat him especially, like, that'd be huge.
Yeah.
And he very well could. Even though, like, Suzuki, when he came into GCW last and he beat Nick Gage, and that was like Nick Gage at like the peak of his popularity. I don't know. But Effie needs some big wins right now, in my opinion. So, all
right, guys, we are going to head to our interview with Ninja Mack, and you can see him in just a little while on Bloodsport. You can see him all over this weekend. He has matches lined up against he's facing AR Fox, I believe, at the World on Bucha. So that's a big match for him. He's facing Matt Cross. Actually, I think that event got canceled. Maybe. He was supposed to face Matt Cross at a certain event because the Reality of Wrestling events got canceled.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think that was where he was facing Matt Cross. But he's facing Yo-Yo at Bloodsport. He's supposed to be on the ROH show tomorrow night as well. Doesn't have an opponent. He'll talk about that. He'll talk about traveling to Noah here in April. And he'll talk about again his weekend. So we're gonna throw it over to Ninja Mack.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Creator Spotlight, the interview portion of the Spotlight. Myself and Jeremy Lambert here. This is Stephen Jensen, of course, and we have a special guest today. He goes by many aliases, many names. Some may know him as Ninja Mack. Some may know him as Ninja Fuck Mack. Some may know him as Ninja Kamikaze Mack. Sometimes he's got a mask, sometimes he doesn't. And he is one of the most exciting wrestlers on the independent scene, one of my favorite wrestlers in all of Game Changer Wrestling. We have Ninja Mack. How you doing, man?
What's going on, y'all? Y'all doing good? How y'all doing, Fightful? How's everything going? Y'all want to make a bet today?
Yeah. So what are we betting? Let's do this.
Hey, well, we got big bets. We got Collective this weekend with WrestleMania weekend. You got so many shows going on this weekend. You got so many people on the spotlight. You got mega stars coming up, and y'all got lots of bets y'all can make everywhere. So we're gonna make lots of bets on this.
We're gonna bet on all your matches at the Collective and through WrestleMania.
Hey, let's get a number, get some over and unders on my matches going on. See if we get some inside information or something. Maybe I'll get banned like some of these receivers at the NFL.
well, Ninja, why don't we start off with that? Tell the people listening right now, what do you have coming up at the Collective? This is a humongous weekend for wrestling.
Yeah, man. With that many people going to WrestleMania and all the indie shows coming up, they capitalize on the market that's going to be there. So it's good eyes, trying to get new audiences, especially with everyone in COVID and being online. There's going to be so many eyes just online too that's going to be there. It's such a weekend. I think at the moment I have 9 matches confirmed. I can't release everything just because I haven't announced all the matches. I got a potential 13, and that's nothing with Saturday yet. So just kind of rubbing off Thursday, Josh Barnett Bloodsport, 3 p.m. I'll be there, Yo-Yo. I heard you talking shit online. Don't think I don't read those messages. I've been watching them. Just bring your mouthpiece. Bring your mouthpiece, Yo-Yo. Let's see. Thursday, show Spring Break's going to happen. That show's going to be humongous. You don't want to miss any of the Spring Breaks. Let's go into Friday. Early show 11, they got tons. I don't want to say the wrong show. I'm not on the 11, but I will be there. I just don't remember the name off the top of my head. 3 o'clock's happening for Collective. 7 o'clock, Ninja Mack's going to be at Ring of Honor. That's going to be my debut for Ring of Honor. And they're keeping me very mysterious because they have not told me any kind of opponent, which I don't mind. I'm going to take on anyone you put. But, I do like those big old Ring of Honor names. So we'll see what happens. But that's at 7. And I'm a little kamikaze, if y'all don't know. I booked myself for AR Fox with Lucha for GCW. So I got Ring of Honor at 7. I got Gringos The World on Lucha at 7:30. So in my eyes, I'm hoping I'm not double booking at the same time, but we're going to just make it work. And then after that, I got Spring Break at midnight with Joey Janela. So you can always bet on GCW. These shows are going to be wild. Always bet on Ring of Honor. Always bet on Ninja Mack. But, I mean, just Thursday and Friday alone, I'm going to be running through 7 matches announced. So that's about to be a very, very wild weekend.
You were part of WrestleMania weekend last year, and it was a little bit calmer last year because there was still COVID and everything, and so the WrestleMania attendance was like half. And I know that not every company in the world is running like they're running this year. Like, to be part of this weekend, what are you expecting compared to last year?
Well, with last year, just a little brief history of Ninja. I was wrestling. Family happened. I had a child. So I ended up taking about 2.5 years off of wrestling. And it was a great decision. 1, you get to rest your body. 2, just being a dad, I always recommend them. I'm not saying everyone should go have kids, but I love being a dad. I love my kid, and he's such a blessing and a great time. Everyone should have kids if you're good enough to handle them. But, when COVID hit and all the gyms were kind of shut down and I needed to go back to training. I can't just sit still. I ended up starting to train. We started local wrestling in Houston, Texas. I did about 3-4 months of local wrestling, and I got a call from AAA. I got a call from Pro Wrestling Nova, and I got a call from GCW about 2 days after I had a match at Dragon Bane in March. Now, going forward, with Noah and AAA reaching out, being international at the time, the travel restrictions were very hard. So my travel plans with them got pushed back. But with GCW making contact, I just took the bet on myself. They only offered me, hey, come do the first match, Jimmy Lloyd's D-Generation F show, Scramble Fuck Fest. And to me, I've never been in a scramble, or let alone a fuck fest. And I was like, man, you know what? Let's go. And I end up getting my own ticket to Tampa. I literally end up sleeping under the ring, in the ring that weekend for 2 of the 3 nights to make this happen, just to, cut costs efficiently. And last year was my debut for GCW at the Collective. And I end up doing 4 matches for them, but I ended up doing like 8 matches at the Collective last year on the spot, only booked for that one. So the last year in Tampa being the first GCW Collective I did, and I know everyone was coming out of the COVID era, it was very light, but you give me 1 whole year after running with GCW, I have very big plans this week to make sure I make very big statements at the Collective.
Yeah, I remember last year too. Like you really broke out last year. Like everyone was talking about, you were doing stuff no one had seen. I mean, you're doing like 630 Phoenix splashes and doing like not just like Sasuke specials, but adding like multiple extra flips into it. I mean, it was mind blowing stuff. And what's it mean for you to do WrestleMania weekend, the Collective, and all that this year in Texas? Because I've seen a lot of your work in like the Houston area, and like you're really, really well known like in that region of wrestling.
Yeah, so when I started, I used to do a lot of circus jobs. So I was definitely a circus athlete right before I got into pro wrestling. On my last circus tour, there was a wrestler, and growing up, I did a lot of the flips at the open gyms, but I did amateur wrestling my whole life. My whole family's an amateur wrestling family. I'm the oldest of 7. All my brothers and sisters went to college on wrestling scholarships. I just did my first year of college, and I was very uninterested. So I ended up actually getting over to Vegas, doing a tryout, getting into the circus. And then that last circus tour, meeting that guy that was a professional wrestler, he recommended seeing we would shoot wrestle at the hotels to kill time. He recommended with all the flips I could do and the kind of shoot style wrestling I could already do, go find a wrestling school and go give it a try. And I flew home, and just lucky enough, I'm from Houston, Texas. I don't know if y'all know, there's a very, very big star. There's a great wrestling school in Houston, Texas.
I'm a 5-time champion, perhaps?
About 5-time champ. Yeah, 5-time. That man, I love Booker T. That guy changed me so much when I first get him, and you get to see the presence of a WWE superstar, how they walk in, how the eyes turn to them, and even on the first day, seeing his presence, and I was like, you know what, just to get that and have those eyes on you walking in is something special. And with the circus, I was you're part of acts. You get 8 to 10 people in an act. In wrestling, maybe it's selfish of me, but I like the attention. I like when it's one-on-one or 3 people in a ring rather than 10 people on a show. So I want the eyes on me. I want the attention. So meeting Booker, I just started training. I never went back and did one circus job since the day I met Booker.
What's the best piece of advice you've gotten from Booker T?
Man, there's so much. It's hard to just pick one. So, everything he preaches, like it doesn't click at first right away. When you're in, you're very excited. You want to get all your moves in. You want to learn stuff real fast. To quote Book, I would say the best thing I learned is find your Romeo and Juliet. Find your Shakespeare moment. Everyone at a big level is going to be athletic enough. Everyone's going to be able to do all the big moves. What's going to help you stand out and capture these eyes? Because especially when you get into these high levels and the way athletes are now, everyone can do drop kicks. Everyone can do the 450s. Everyone can do the big moves, the big spots. Everyone's very, very good at what we do now. So what are the little things? What's your Romeo and Juliet? What's helping you stand out? Your Shakespeare, the moment. So I keep that in mind, always thinking of Booker, just especially as quick and lucha I am. I slow down, and then you see it. You see, whoa, yeah. And those little things, I didn't understand the first year. And he would repeat it, and he would repeat it. He's constant with it. And stepping away from wrestling and taking that break and coming back and being able to see what people are doing, it really clicked for me and understanding. So I don't know if I found my Romeo and Juliet, but I might have found my Ninja and Juliet. So
what's it been like having maybe like some camaraderie or like other people kind of coming up along with you from that scene? Like, we've seen a lot of success from Roxy recently getting a WWE contract. You got Mysterious Q, you got Brian Keith. You got other guys like sorry, go ahead, Ninja.
I'm saying that's just a testament to Booker. All of them went through Booker T school, reality wrestling. He's so good at what he does. And I'm not saying he just does handouts, because if you're there and you're putting in the work, he will give you the time. His phone's open. Now, obviously, you ain't trying to blow Booker up at night because, you suck and might slap you. But it's like he'll give you your time. If you're giving him time in the ring, he sees you're putting in time. You're actually performing in matches. He will give you the time and always be there. So just to see BK get out, Mysterious Q, Ryan Davidson, even Roxy coming up, and she was just at Books for a short time, just to be around. She's such a good talent. I mean, that was the last Ring of Honor Women's Champion at such a young age. And you know what? She got scooped up by WWE. So that shows you that, man, if you're in Texas or if you need a wrestling school, get down to Booker T's Reality Wrestling in Houston, Texas.
I want to talk about Bloodsport because it's one of my favorite shows during WrestleMania weekend. And I think when people see you, they see the gifts and everything. They see the aerial moves, and you're part of the Aero Lucha show as well, or Gringo Loco show.
Yep.
And like, so doing Bloodsport, you mentioned your shoot background. Like, why did you decide to do Bloodsport on top of everything else? Like, what drew you to do that show as well?
So being at the Collective last year, being an amateur wrestler growing up and then doing the circus jobs, I was already really athletic. And the whole time doing circus jobs, I've always been, growing up Power Rangers, martial arts, Bruce Lee, Three Little Ninjas. Those were the movies I was into, Ninja Turtles. So I was already doing martial arts with my with my amateur wrestling. So at this point, into the circus, and I travel 6 months, I get 2 months off. I'm rolling around in jiu-jitsu on my time off. I'm doing Muay Thai, I'm doing kickboxing, I'm doing some amateur wrestling. And my brothers that got out of amateur wrestling rolled right into MMA. So with them going to training at MMA, I'm sparring with them. I'm getting my ass whooped. My brother's about 40 pounds heavier than me. But it's been my whole life in wrestling. But you train, and I fought. I got 2-0 in some amateur league. I haven't done one professional fight, but playing around with amateur, I was able to fight, get around, and I think taking what I do and the way I do things now, I think able to do Bloodsport is going to be like a preview to what I can show, what I'm going to pull off with Noah. I think people have gotten very spoiled with me at GCW, and you see the crazy high flips and the high crazy spots. But you got to remember, that is GCW. We're very extreme, very game changing, and we want to test waters. We want to see. But if you see me at local wrestling, you see me in a Ricky Reyes match, you didn't see crazy ninja flips. We had a good wrestling match, clean, very easy, hard hitting. So I play very multiple styles. I don't want to just be known as a good aerial artist, which, like I said, I think I've proven that a little bit, and I hope I have. But I also want to show that there's more than just flips and spots for me.
Well, you also have a nasty rear naked choke. We've seen you end quite a few matches with that RNC, like most notably this past weekend, taking out Joey Janela, heading into the Collective, which I think a lot of people were surprised about with Joey having that big match with X-Pac, and then you get this big submission win. I've also seen you transition. I love when you do you'll fake out your finisher off the top, and then it'll lure your opponent into a sense of security. Then you'll roll them right into a rear naked choke. So you do have some submission skills that you've showed off in the past as well.
Yeah, I said I know a lot of submissions in jiu-jitsu, and what shows its presentation, but in the air, I'm very comfortable in the air. And I know it looks very fast when I'm doing the crazy flips. But if I see you roll out the way, it doesn't make sense to me for me just to eat shit on the floor when I can stop myself and see you roll in the air. Why wouldn't I stop? I can see everything. I know people are like, oh, dude, you're doing all this in the air. But that, to me, it's not like that. I can jump in the air, and in that 630, I can probably count every single person in that front row in the air. I can see the person in the ring. So if I can see you moving and I'm in midair, I don't see a point to sit there and take the pointless beating to where I can stop myself. So, it's capitalizing on opportunities you create.
Yeah.
You mentioned Pro Wrestling Noah, and you've got Dragon Bane and Alpha Wolf at the end of April. By the way, Dragon Bane, Alpha Wolf, Ninja Mack, is this not the coolest name triple threat in the history of wrestling? How did this appearance come about?
So like I said, with local wrestling, shout out to Jaime and Pedro that kind of got me back into wrestling. With Dragon Bane coming in, we do local wrestling has a very ECW AAA feel. And it's a very, very tight group of us, and we pull in very big names. So when we were pulling in these big names, and I was doing 2 good matches for them, and they're like, hey, let's give you a good name. And they're like, Dragon Bane, I didn't even hear the guy before. But I got to see some couple clips and some videos, and the luchador, he's phenomenal. We go out there, and we have a killer match. And I say, Noah, I believe, I don't want to misquote this, he was working for Noah in 2019 already. So when we had that match and Wrestling with Unicorns posted their clips, and those clips went up for over 100,000 views, Noah got attention to that. And when Noah got attention to that, and they saw that one of their own wrestlers taking on a ninja, well, it called, and they called me 45 minutes after the match in the locker room. So when they reached out, it was a very big opportunity for me to take. And then for him to be able to take that opportunity to go meet me back in Noah, I've wrestled Bane in the United States. I've wrestled Dragon Bane in Mexico now. And now April 29th, I'm going to get a chance to wrestle him in Japan. So me and him we're already going worldwide with our matches. So we got some big things coming. And then I haven't got a chance to wrestle his brother yet. So to put us in a 3-way, this might be the most epic 3-way Pro Wrestling Noah's ever had.
Yeah, speaking of all this, like, how excited are you to like start going international? Because I know it's like it was in the plans for a while, and obviously the pandemic and stuff halted that. But like, I know, like, I remember your announcement that you were heading to Pro Wrestling Noah like a handful of months ago, and like people on the internet were going nuts. They're like, "Dude, Ninja Mack and Noah, this is going to be insane." So like, how excited are you that like now you are able to go out there and do stuff internationally?
Oh, I'm very excited. I think growing up, I watched a lot of AAA in Texas, and then there was what really hooked me because Pro Wrestling Noah in Japan was not the only company that called. They were one of 4 companies, and they did not offer the most money. They did not offer the most bookings. But me growing up as a wrestler and watching Pro Wrestling Noah, I knew their history. I knew what I liked, and I've watched them, and it meant a little more for me to take a little less money, take a little less bookings, get over to Noah because it's something I watched. And when I came back to wrestling, I made a checklist. And my checklist was to wrestle for AAA and to go wrestle for Noah within 2 years of coming back. And for them to call me 6 months back into wrestling and AAA to call me, and I'm like, man, this checklist is happening. Bam, check. Bam, check. And then you got to cross out Noah because it got pushed back. Finally, to be able to check this off and make it happen is such a relief, but it's so very exciting. I'm so excited. They have such good talent over there. It's a whole new world. Literally a whole new world I can experience. Everyone over there, I've never wrestled. That's another 30 to 40 to 50 new wrestlers. And my goal is to get as good as I can right now. And I'm only going to do that by wrestling better wrestlers and new wrestlers to get better experience.
You mentioned other companies. Can you tell us who they are? And if not, any plans to still be open to wrestling for those companies in Japan?
I cannot. I would love to, but I can't mention them. And I do appreciate them reaching out because with Noah, I was negotiating between 3 companies at the time, and it was a very heavy decision. And I appreciate every company that reached out and wanted to do business because I'm always about business. But to my understanding too, now that I've chosen Noah, I have closed some doors on some other shows. So it was very pick one and let's ride, which I'm fine with. I've made my decision. I do appreciate those other companies. So if y'all are listening, I really do think y'all made some big bets, and I do appreciate it. And maybe one day in the future, if things open up like we are in the Indies in the States and we do mesh over there, because Noah did just do some New Japan work. So they did kind of mesh and test the waters. And to my understanding, Noah might be doing a little work with Dragon Gate. I don't want to put anything out there. I see some things. You never know. Maybe I do some cross-promotion work if they're allowing it. But just as I said, I'm going to ride it out with Noah. I've chosen Noah. I'm now Noah Ninja. That's going to be my hashtag going forward to get some representation for Noah there. So.
Hell yeah. You mentioned the circus a couple times, and this is kind of a 2-part question. First part being, were you wrestling and then went into the circus and then went back to wrestling? And then the second question would be, what did you do in the circus? Like, what was your actual like stunts and role while you were in the circus?
No, so I went to college. In my first semester of college, I was very unhappy. You know, I used to be in the gym 6 hours a day training, and then you go to college and now you're free. You just got to go to class. You don't have a set schedule anymore. So now that I'm going to class and I'm free, I'm not going to training as much. So I was very unhappy my first semester. So I ended up going to the circus. No pro wrestling at all. I was just out of amateur wrestling, out of the gyms. Go to the circus, do 6 years of the circus, on and off. But while I'm in the circus, I mean, all my time's off. I come home and I train. Like I said, I was training jiu-jitsu, martial arts. Like I said, I was training my brothers in amateur wrestling in high school. So I went circus from 19 to 25. At 25, when I came back, I cut that off and I went straight into pro wrestling since. For about 3.5 years of pro wrestling. I took about a 2.5 year to 3 year break, and then I've been back this last year. So it was circus, pro wrestling. There was never like a mixture of them. I've kept them pretty separate. Now, talking about some of the acts in the circus, I would say that was almost a big reason why I left, because I got to do a lot of the flips on the trampoline. I got to do a lot of trapeze. I was swinging on the roofs. But when you're doing these acts, you need 8, 10, 20 people to do a show like that. It's not just one person. So when I'm doing my acts, if you're in a group, you're not making as much money as if you're doing a solo act. I mean, just numbers wise, since there's 8 people doing one act for 15 minutes compared to one person doing an act for 15 minutes, you're not going to get paid as much. And like I told you earlier, it might just be me and myself. I might be just selfish, but I want the attention. I want eyes on me. I want everyone to look at me. So I end up, like I said, with pro wrestling, I got the chance to get eyes on me with one-on-one circus. I did trapeze. I did, like I said, the trampolines. I've done fire spinning. In the O show, island fire spinning with the bow staffs. I used to light the ground on fire. I do handstand acts, handstand balancing acts. I was never really a really 6 foot tall big guy to be the bottom base. So I was always the very top guy doing all the handstand positions. But I do have a very wide frame. So I got to learn how to do both. I got to be the base. I got to be actually the person on top. And I've tried some stuff. We're doing like 3-way handstand acts, which was wild. But I mean, there's so many countless acts. I'd have to go back. I could probably say I've been in between 8 to 10 different acts with the circus, all with different skill sets. And I've not brought any of that to pro wrestling yet. I've been holding off a little bit just to kind of let this year buzz and have some more stuff go into the future for sure.
You were announced for Ring of Honor on March 1st, and like literally the next day, Tony Khan announces he's bought Ring of Honor. You're still on the show. Yeah, you're still in the show. Have you talked to Tony about like what's happening about anything?
Nope. I know they announced him March 1st, but the people I was in contact with was about 2 weeks before that when they reached out. Because they reached out and they wanted they want to do business. They want to hear numbers. They want to make sure you're available. But at the time, they gave me a list of some opponents. I was like, yeah, all of them are great. Please, that one you start off with, phenomenal. I would love it. The other 2, even like great, I'll take them. And then I get announced. And when they announced me, I thought I was going to get announced with my match, and that's how I was going to find out. But when they announced me, it doesn't happen. And the next day, Tony Khan buys Ring of Honor. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. This is new. That's something I thought they would have brought up. That's another company buying another company booking me. But yeah, I have no contact. Never talked to Tony Khan before. I had AEW reach out to me. I want to say June of last year for an AEW Dark match, and I appreciate the opportunity. But at the time, I wasn't able to do AEW Dark, so I had to tell them no. So. Going forward, maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But right now, I'm winging it. I'm hoping someone shows up for a good opponent. If not, I'll go out there and I'll go 10 minutes entertaining by myself in front of a crowd with a mic. It's not a problem to me. So give me an opponent. Don't give me an opponent. It won't matter. I'm going to go out there no matter what for 10 to 15 minutes and entertain.
As I said during the intro, sometimes you got a match, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're Ninja Fuck Mac, sometimes you're Ninja Kamikaze Mac. Sometimes you start the match with a mask and you might get unmasked during the match. What is is it like a conscious thing, or is it like a feeling? Like, how do you decide kind of what version of yourself you're going to put out there? I know some of it, of course, has to do with like the crowd. Little kids might not want to, you might not be Ninja Fuck Mac in front of a group of little kids, but outside of that, like in GCW, even you seem to mix it up a lot. So kind of where does that come from?
So when I came back and I was trying to, you're trying to figure out what you're doing. I knew I was going to do the ninja route. When I came back with local wrestling, I wore the black mask, not my traditional one I have now. I wore an all black mask. It stood out because you couldn't see anything. It was literally just a black mask. It looked like you were just looking into a black hole. My idea was, because I wrestled in Texas with so many luchadors, and I told you Loca has that AAA ECW kind of baby vibe, I would, it started off when I would wrestle luchadors, I would walk out with the mask and I would take it off. They're luchadors. I got a little respect for luchadors. I'm not going to wear a mask while they're wearing a mask. But also when I was wrestling the American wrestlers, because I did so much lucha and I understood that when they wear a mask and it means something, it's an intimidating presence, it gave them confidence, I would keep the mask on in my match against Americans just to, maybe throw them off. And that it started like that. It was mask on for Americans, mask off for luchadors. And that's why you saw me without a mask. Going into GCW, I would just wear the mask on and I would take it off at matches. especially one-on-ones. It was a little hard to breathe. It wasn't very good performing mask. So I say with Dante Leon, we had that match for JCW that kind of went viral. I had that mask off, but knowing I'm about to do 25 minutes, I'm not trying to restrict myself from breathing. I'm going to give Dante my best and trying to take that win. So, it is a design. There's a market design behind it. But now, I don't know if y'all know, I do professional gambling. That's the whole want to make a bet that. I've merged my gambling and my ninja together. That's where the combination of all this is. So when you see ninja now, it's evolved to where it's not mask on, mask off anymore. I've evolved into the red, black, like a roulette table. You got red and black on roulette. Y'all know the third color on roulette?
Green? No.
Green.
Oh, okay. I was right.
Yeah, no one ever bets green. No one ever bets 0 or double zeros. Never comes. So when I got my red and my black gear, I got a green gear. I've never shown it. I'm the only one that has ever seen my green gear. I made sure I got that in Noah colors too. So Noah, watch out. You never know when that's popping up. But I have not even shown my kid that green gear. I have not even shown my lady that green gear. That thing is hidden just because no one ever bet zeros. I just wanted to have it, and I'll have the right time to pull it off.
I want to talk more about professional gambling now. How do you get into professional gambling, and what is your area of expertise or your go-to game?
Well, growing up, I got to play a lot of Texas Hold'em. You watch World Series of Poker Tour online and the websites. And growing up, I always like to go hang out with my friends and play Texas Hold'em. And then now that I get into casinos and I'm playing with big dogs on high roller tables, it's a little different. You learn, but I sit at tables. I go sit blackjack. Really, all my merch money at Atlantic City, I'm either quadrupling it at the casinos or I'm losing it all. So like GCW it's a double-edged sword for me. I might say I have a gambling problem. I might be calling that 1-800 I need help hotline or something. But dude, I've always enjoyed gambling. I've always been very good with numbers. And I'm not saying I'm a card counter because you can't do that because it's illegal. But because I'm so good with numbers, blackjack came very easy to me. And then also just with being in the circus and being an entertainer and a pro wrestler already, you have good eyes to read people. And since I can already read people in the way they kind of fidget their hands or their body motions, I got a good read when someone's bluffing, when someone's actually has something. And, a lot of people say gambling, it's risky, but if you're calculated and you're controlled, it's just like a job to me. I can go out there and do 8 hours on a poker table, make $400 a day, just sitting there and making sure I'm making the right decisions. Also, with the gambling, I don't know if y'all noticed, but I gamble in my matches. I take big gambles in my matches. That's that kamikaze theme where I'm taking long shots. I'm pulling off anything I can. I'm trying to do anything I can to make it work. Also, if you see me at a merch table at one of these shows, I make bets. You want Ninja Mack merch and you want to make a bet with me? No problem. I gamble anything. You know what? You want half off on my shirt? Coin flip. Call it in there. Bam. You got it wrong? I want double. You got it right? Half off. I'm willing to make bets, and I think it's also good for fan interaction for my merch table. Cause I got little tricks. I do coin flips. I do, hey, let's play paper, scissors, or rock. Or if you ever come to one of my loco shows, my merch table is my blackjack table, and I'm the dealer at my merch table. And if you want to buy Ninja Mack merch, play a blackjack hand with me.
That's awesome. I've actually heard about that. I have some friends in the Houston area that have met you, and they've told me about this kind of stuff. So yeah, really, really interesting. Really cool how you've merged the gambling and the ninja and all into kind of one really cool package. Somebody that you mentioned a minute ago is Dante Leon, and y'all wrestle each other a lot, whether it be singles or like scramble matches, tag team matches. Kind of let the people here at Fightful who might not know so much about Dante know a little bit about him, because the two of y'all seem to be kind of joined at the hip to a degree, but like your matches are always incredible. Yeah, we had a killer match on Friday, and I unfortunately got a loss in Texas on Dante again. I had him. I literally had him on the floor, and I slipped up with a little bit of laziness and talking some shit to a kid, and he rolled me up and got the win on Friday. So we are joined at the hip. We both came into the collective. So with local wrestling, I know he's out of Dallas.
I met Dante that January, and we had a match that January, and that's what popped Wrestling with Unicorns, that match. And it popped us, and that's what got me match with Dragon Bane. But that match with Dante Leon, if that match doesn't happen, I probably don't get the match with Dragon Bane. I probably don't get called by GCW. We probably both don't go to the Collective. When we get called and we show out at the Collective, you're like, hey, these guys just made it work. They came in. These two Texas boys came in. They stood out. You know what? Let's give them a chance at JCW. Let's bring them up. We go to JCW. We're going to be semi-main. You know what? Cool. Beautiful. Joey comes up to us as match 6 is ending and goes, look, guys, we're going to put the pressure on you. We're going to switch it. Y'all going to be main event, double the time, pull it the fuck off. Show me what you can do. And me and Dante look at each other. You know what? Fuck it. Let's make it happen. We go out there. We have that killer JCW match. And since then, it's, you know, like you said, we're joined by the hips. It's just some people you have that magic chemistry with. I mean, I never met the guy until January when we had that first match and it clicked. We had that next match at the Collective, clicked. We had that main event at JCW, it clicked. Now, a lot of people say we're very close friends. I don't know about friends. I would say more rivalry because I still want to whoop his ass every time I see him. But, you know, I've had the chance to tag with him now, take on some very big level opponents like the Briscoes, get a Jordan Oliver and a Nick Wayne, some 2 young and uprising stars come in there that try to take us on. And I think with the amount of respect we have for each other and our rivalry, we put some shit to the side and make these tag matches work. But you know what? We're still going to go out there and hit each other really hard in singles. So I think it's a good best friend rivalry relationship coming into the world. And I think a lot of people are going to end up watching that for many years to come.
My last one for you here is, what is the coolest thing in your room?
I'm sorry, I heard coolest thing.
Coolest thing in your room.
Coolest thing in my room.
Yeah, in the room you're in right now. Like, what's the coolest
thing?
thing?
Oh, you want to see which swords, which bow staffs, what nunchucks, what world titles, what kind of belts you want to see.
I thought you had a bow staff.
So earlier I told you I did a lot of, with my circus, I do a lot of fire spinning. So this was actually the bow staff I would use in my circus shows to light on fire, spin around on fire, light the stage on fire. So that's the pretty one that's very pretty, professional. And that's the one I get to light on fire that they don't let me use yet because they don't like their buildings to end up on fire in matches. But it's going to happen one day. You can bet that. And then let's see what else I got. Give me a little fancy one, you know, a really expensive one. I kind of invest in myself. Little Bruce Lee nunchucks, made a nice little marble, yeah. But you know, just between me and Fightful in the spotlight, when Ninja Mack gets ready to do death matches, you ain't gonna see no light tubes. Fuck that. You're gonna see boards. You're gonna see throwing stars. You're gonna see nunchucks. I ain't doing no light tubes. You bring your light tubes, I'm bringing my sword. Good luck. We're gonna find out how far you go.
I've seen you throw throwing stars at people before. As a matter of fact, I know you've used those in matches before.
You know, I only GCW, because you can only do that at GCW. Throw some throwing stars at people. But hey, you know, going over to Japan, I've heard they're a little more willing to try some stuff, and some people want to take it. So you never know what's going to happen. Bet that.
I mean, that's the argument, right? Is like, oh, it's a no DQ match. Why doesn't he bring the sword to the ring? Why doesn't he bring the knife to the ring and just stab the person? It's like, oh, we're not going to do that. Fuck that. You're bringing the sword. You're bringing the ninja stars.
Oh yeah, I'm bringing swords. I'm bringing ninja stars. I'm bringing 40 kunai knives. Bring your fucking light tube. Bring your doors. I learned what GCW does. I've been there the last year, and I did this every time they asked. No, I ain't doing death matches until y'all prove me to bring my fucking swords and I can light them on fire. Fight me with your light tube. I'm bringing a sword. I'm bringing fucking nunchucks. And if you don't allow that, sorry, like, I'll wait.
You mentioned, you know, of course, Booker T being a big influence, and you know, obviously your background in the circus and all the athletic stuff that you can do. Who are some people, like, as you're kind of forming your style, or even maybe that have nothing to do with your personal style, but who are people that you like as a wrestler, like as a fan of this, and like kind of forming your own art out of this? Like, who are some people you look up to that you kind of follow as a fan?
You know, I'm very caught up on history. I keep up with a lot of Les Kellett. I love some catch wrestling. 1980s right there. Man, if you're talking favorites and very influenced, I mean, Chris Benoit has got to be number one, and Eddie Guerrero. That whole group right there, Chris, Eddie, and Ray. If I really felt like I was the baby of someone, it'd be Chris Benoit, Rey Mysterio, and Eddie Guerrero. Like those three, I feel like that's just merged into me. With like I said, with Booker T training me, man, that was very good. But he's also he's a very different style than what I do. Someone related to my style. I would say just going forward, there's a big reason I chose Pro Wrestling Noah was Daniel Bryan. I mean, just watching him do it, seeing what he went through and what he was able to capitalize and what he showed. I mean, I remember those matches, and that was a big influence to me. And Daniel Bryan's got to be one. Loki's a very big influence to me. Loki's been a very big help to Ninja Mack this year. He doesn't take a lot of people arms open, and I think when he saw me and when I'm not one to sit and wait to go meet someone. I go straight up to the person, shake their hand, introduce myself, and we clicked when I met him. And not everyone clicks with Loki, and he's been very arms open, phone's always open anytime I've messaged. And not to say, we did have a match, but he's always been able to guide me in the questions I needed this last year. Especially with, man, it's been wild going over here, going over there. And I needed to have someone that's been there, been at that level to just answer a couple questions. So Loki this year helped a lot. You know, Daniel Bryan related to Noah, and then if I'm to relate my style and me as kind of watching some wrestling, man. Yeah, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. If they had a baby, I think that'd be Ninja Mack.
Jensen, let's make a bet on Ninja Mack's opponent for ROH. Okay.
Hey, we got some odds going. I think Kevin Gill might have started a little online thing for me. You know, putting out some bets on. I don't know if it was Twitter, but he was trying to take some odds on who my opponent was going to be because I haven't said anything. So we were trying to get some gambling going online.
I can tell Jensen's like looking up.
I'm looking up the current card because I want to make sure. Because I was gonna say maybe like a Swerve or an Alex Zane, but they're wrestling each other.
Yeah, they're wrestling each other.
Yeah.
Hey, that card for Ring of Honor, if y'all have not seen it, Ring of Honor is bringing some fire for that show. Every single match could be main event on every show. Tony, if he's booking that, because like I said, I haven't been in touch with anyone. So if Tony's actually the one booking everything, that man is bringing so much fire to that show because every single one of those matches are main event level matches.
Jensen, who are you taking? Because I have my pick. I got a couple picks, but I've got a main one that I'm feeling sort of confident about.
See, it's hard because we don't know who's going to be there. There's so many options, especially now with like the AEW.
Everybody's
potential.
That's what I.
Yeah, I would say I did request when I took this match. I did request an alumni of Ring of Honor for my match.
Okay.
Someone that was influenced. Now this was before the purchase, so I don't know if that's reasonable. But on my request, I didn't just want to have a random match. I wanted to have a match with someone related in the history of Ring of Honor. So if they go through with that, I think it will be someone that was related to Ring of Honor previously. I don't think it'd be anyone unrelated to Ring of Honor.
Now, I don't know what his current status is, but a dream match for me, if we're going somebody that has some history in Ring of Honor, would be you versus Amazing Red.
Oh,
that was the first name that was thrown out when they offered, and to my understanding, he's slowed down on taking some bookings. He's very selectful with his bookings, which he has the right to do. I mean, the guy's great. He's been around forever. And if he ever wanted to have a match with Ninja Mack, with all respect, man, that's something I would look forward to, Mr. Amazing Red. If not, like I said, maybe one day in the future for something else. But I do want one day to actually meet Amazing Red and just kind of see. I mean, I'm wearing some red right now, man. But yeah, that was a name that was thrown out there, and man, I fought for that name. I was like, please, what do we got to? If I got to take less money and he gets more money to come in, we'll make it happen. But like I said, I have not been in touch with anyone. So
my alumni pick was Christopher Daniels. That is who I'm gonna throw out there. And you mentioned Loki, and like I think that would be dope as well.
That was Loki was the name I made a pitch for besides Amazing Red. I just, if Amazing Red couldn't come through, I would like to run it back with Loki. He did get the best of me at Loco in Houston, and that was a couple months ago. I've grown in the last 4 months tremendously. So I think to take another shot at Key would have been great. But hey, anyone that's been related to Ring of Honor it's going to be an honor to wrestle. Like everyone, if they were on that show, man, they're such a high level performer that it's not going to matter who they give me. It's going to be a great match. We're going to do some great things.
My non Ring of Honor pick was Dante Martin. Just throw you guys out there and let you go.
Nice. That would have been a very good match.
Yeah, if I'm going non Ring of Honor alum, I'd like to see you and Ray Phoenix.
Yeah, so with all the luchas, I've known a lot of those lucha guys kind of through the Texas scene when I was coming up for a long time. Phoenix has known me. I've known those guys on and off, and fortunately, I've been hidden from all the big stars in my matches, which was good for me because now that I'm kind of getting a trend, I can go back and really get to these matches now that I've kind of grown my name. So like I said, that's a match. Penta's a match that I'm looking forward to. I saw those guys in AAA. So those guys are the best in the world at what they do, and to ever be in the ring with them is such greatness. Like, it's just overexcited, but I still want to go hit them, ninja stuff.
Or you and Vikingo would be insane in Japan or not Mexico, by the way.
Yeah, man, I did the AAA booking. I got Vikingo in a 6-man match. It was like it was a scramble kind of formula, and I only got to work with the guy for 30 seconds, and he was so good. And to give me and Vikingo 15 minutes of ring, I think we would break the internet.
Yeah,
I really think the internet might just shut down. So, if that ever happens, like, big bet, that might be an all-in bet for sure. All in.
Ninja Mack, we appreciate you joining us today. Let the people know where they can find you besides everywhere at the Collective and WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, you can find me at Collective WrestleMania this weekend. Everything, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, everything's Ninja Mack. Comment, like, subscribe. I'm pretty active online. I'll get back to you. And if you haven't done so, go to fightful.com, go subscribe to the Spotlight, hook them up. That's how we make our living, guys. Like, comment, share them. Let's get all of us going. So you can always bet that, and I will see you at the Collective.
Thank you. Thank you again for your time today. We'll be right back here on the Spotlight. I got to do. Okay, there we go. We're right back here on the Spotlight. We're back. We appreciate Ninja Mack joining us. He's literally fighting right now.
Yeah, I'm watching his match. Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap things up so we can enjoy Ninja Mack taking on Yo-Yo. Bless him, he did that entire interview with that mask on, and I know that could not have been easy.
Well, remember he unmasked after we were done. It's
he did
because he unmasked in this match as well, but he unmasked when we were done, and his face was like red, and you could tell he'd been sweating. And I'm like, damn, yeah, that's got to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if you saw this, Jensen. Like, while we were on the air, Ninja Mack again at Supercard, he's going to be taking on Tully Blanchard's new client. That is what they're booking. They're billing for his match.
Interesting.
So whoever Tully Blanchard's new client is, that is who will be facing Ninja Mack at Supercard tomorrow night.
Okay.
We'll see. Let's see. All right, guys, we appreciate everybody hanging out with us on the Spotlight here. We'll be back next week, recapping some WrestleMania, recapping everything that kind of went down at WrestleMania weekend, the stuff we liked or maybe didn't like, and whatever AEW has in store as well. Guys, go over to Fightful Overbooked to subscribe over there. No Day After Dynamite. Will is in Dallas, so no Day After Dynamite going on right now, but we got plenty of stuff over at Fightful Overbooked. Jensen, let them know where you're at.
Yes. So right after this, going over to True Heel Heat, watching the rest of Bloodsport. Later tonight at around 7 p.m. Eastern, myself and Joel Pearl just got the confirmation from Joel as well. We will be doing Mario Kart on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Fightful Gaming. So we'll be playing Mario Kart pretty close until maybe a half hour or so before spring break starts. So come on over there if you have a Nintendo Switch. Game with us. If you don't, just hang out in the chat. We'll talk about wrestling and stuff. And tomorrow night, Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor, the review. I'll be doing that right after the show. So join us, youtube.com/Fightful. And I think that's pretty much everything. As far as the Weekender, that'll probably get recorded on Monday or Tuesday this week because of all the shows that are still happening on Sunday and stuff. And WrestleMania being on Saturday and Sunday, and I'll probably wait until Monday or Tuesday to do the Weekender this week. But I did record a free edition of the Weekender that y'all can listen to right now. I previewed the entire collective. Ninja Mack with the W, by the way. There we go. But I did an entire collective preview. It's available for free on FightfulSelect.com if you want to listen to that. Yeah, that's everything I got going on right now.
Look at that. 1-0. We've given the good luck to Ninja Mack here as he appeared on our show. Got the Jaden lost after we had him on the show. He lost the title very quickly after we had him on the show. So we've broken our own little mini losing streak here because Ninja Mack picking up the victory. Guys, we appreciate it. Again, we'll be back next week on the Spotlight. You guys enjoy WrestleMania weekend. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy all the wrestling. Have fun, everybody.